Part 37. About the fact that I unintentionally raised my sister to be a cripple. Author, Wo Buletin 11 Huan Tiu Lan. Chapter 365. Dinner Party. Yes, but it's not so much a dinner party, but more like an afternoon tea party where everyone sits together and chats. Hearing the voice on the phone, Tian Haikimingyu closed the book in front of her. She closed her eyes and remained silent for a while, having already guessed most of Sakakibara's purpose. What have you and your sister talked about? Well, I talked to her a lot. Liuli actually doesn't want to completely break up with you. You are still twin sisters no matter what. Tian Haikimingyu put her hand on the hardcover page, and was quiet for a while, then took a breath. I know, I will go there. That's great, July. I don't know why, but I've always wanted to apologize to you. Tian Haikimingyu held the phone in her hand. I said, if you apologize, you have to apologize to me for the rest of your life. A lifetime? Are you really willing to spend a lifetime with me in July? I don't know why you are feeling this all of a sudden, but if there is suddenly no idiot in front of you, I have to admit that life will become a lot more boring. The voice on the phone suddenly became much gentler, as if he was chuckling. July is really a tough talking person all his life. Okay, I'll send you the restaurant's location later. Come over at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Okay. Okay. Beep. The phone was hung up. Tian Haikimingyu put down her phone. She looked at the call records on the phone screen, which lasted for more than 5 minutes. She kept thinking about her sister's attitude and how she should treat her. Can I really make peace with my sister who I fought with and even got violent with before? Can I also change back to what I was before? Tian Haikimingyu walked to the hotel balcony and looked at the Hawaiian beach in summer. The sun is shining brightly and the sky is high and vast. Tourists from all over the world enjoy their holidays on the beach, basking in the sun and playing volleyball. From time to time, there are some children chasing and running with laughter, leaving clear footprints on the beach. Tian Haikimingyu stood on the balcony, looking at the scene from a distance, thinking about the childhood she and her sister had spent together. Even if we never had such a beautiful childhood, we would still be humble and take care of each other. Although they have different hobbies and goals, they are still twin sisters who have lived together for more than 10 years. Tian Haikimingyu still remembers her sister who asked her mother for a gift before and would also ask for a gift for herself. Stupid sister. Tian Haikimingyu closed her eyes, feeling the sea breeze blowing in her face, her short shoulder-length hair swaying gently in her ears. Asterisk. Afternoon. Amami Nanamayu found a cool outfit in Sakakibara Suzu's wardrobe and went out, arriving at the agreed restaurant at 2:40. The restaurant is close to the sea and the forest, and the environment is excellent. You can see the waves crashing in the strait when you sit inside and eat. All tables and chairs are made of solid wood, embellished with the theme of quiet and nature. Nanami followed the message sent by Raku Sakakibara on her mobile phone and came to the restaurant. There were only a few tourists in the restaurant. Foreign waiters wearing Western-style vests were walking around the restaurant carrying plates, and 2 unknown women were laughing and chatting at the front desk. Tian Haikimingyu looked towards the seats inside and saw no one, but saw Tian Haijuli looking at the sea on the edge of the restaurant. Nanami did not expect that Sakakibara Suzu would arrive here before him. What, it turns out to be you. Tian Haikimingyu walked to her side, and Tian Haijuli said this without any energy after seeing the person coming. When Tian Haikimingyu saw that she had such an expression on her face, she asked strangely. Under normal circumstances, Sister Chan, shouldn't you be joking with me happily? Showing how big your breasts are now? What's going on? What else can happen? I'm broken in love. Tian Haijuli put his hands behind his back, lowered his head, and stared at his toes, kicking back and forth meaninglessly. Did it happen yesterday when my brother took you out? Otherwise. Ah. I know you want to complain about me again, why do you use my sister's body to fall in love, but if you ask me, you only have one chance. If it's gone, it's really gone. Tianhaijuli Yulai looked gloomy. Even looking at Tianhai Kaimingyu, I couldn't think of anything to joke about. If Sister Zhang was still the optimist, she could have ridiculed her a few more times, but now she was in a bad mood, and Tianhai Kaimingyu didn't want to add fuel to the fire. Tenkai Kyuri looked away from the blue sea outside the window, looked at Sakeki Harasuzu, and pouted dissatisfiedly and said, "If you want to laugh at me, just laugh at me. I know I am a fool. When I look at my face now, I feel like I am a fool. What's so funny about this?" "What?" Tianhaijuli Yulai didn't hear clearly. "What's so funny about this?" Sakeki Harasuzu crossed her arms. "It's not like I didn't know you were a brother control, but I didn't expect you to be so brave. Isn't it funny?" "What's so funny about this?" Sakeki Harasuzu repeated over and over again, "Pain is contagious, and your pain has now been conveyed to me through words. And what I don't like the most is the kind of guy who adds insult to injury. Can't you tell, Kia Fox, you are pretty good at it? Please call me sister. Fox Fox Fox, slightly Fox. Dot." Sakeki Harasuzu just looked at her silently, and after she finished venting, she said, "Do you feel better?" "Thank you. No, this is what a sister should do." "Humph, you are still annoying as expected. By the way, July Fox, don't you think you are tired of loving my brother?" "It's very tiring." "Then why don't you give up?" "Can you give up?" "No, you can't find such a stupid person in the whole world. Really, how can there be anyone who can take care of others? It makes people unable to run away at all. Once they run away, they feel empty and have nothing." Sakeki Harasuzu, obviously, this is also my answer. "Really, why did you insist on visiting our hometown when you were young? If you didn't come, no one would take it from me." "That's wrong, Sister Chan, sooner or later someone will rob you. With my brother's personality, even men will like him. Who can refuse a guy who will take care of others wholeheartedly? My brother is different from ordinary people. He is not gentle in words. His kind words or words, but his thoughtfulness can be felt through his actions. But this is also his shortcoming. He is too emotional and has difficulty making a choice in the current situation." Tianhaijuli Yulai raised her chest and nodded. "I have to admit that you are right, Kia Fox. My brother is like this, and it is precisely because of his soft heart that you will have a chance. Chiu Fox and Sister Li Yulai will be forgiven by my brother. Let me be honest. Ah, didn't my brother give it to you first? Why make him so tired? When your relationship is entangled, you will naturally feel tired, just like a brother who cannot resolve your relationship with your sister. I think he was also tired at the amusement park last night. All right." It was quiet for a while and listened to the sound of the sea. "That." Sakeki Harasuzu turned around to look at her sister's face. "Sister Chan, if you have anything to say, please tell me. Actually, I don't have to hide it until now. I actually." Sakeki Harasuzu said facelessly, "You like me? Even if my sister Chan is broken up in love, there is no need to be so horny." "I refuse." "Damn it. Who told you this? I mean, although I usually call you a fox in July and a fox in July, but as I said to you a long time ago, I really hate you as a family member. Just because you made my brother feel uncomfortable and couldn't help him, instead you asked him to make a forced choice. It seems that my sister Chan really loves her brother deeply." "Huh, nonsense. I grew up with him. Regardless of our family status, we are childhood sweethearts. I understand him best." Amamai Kuruori crossed his arms and glanced at Sakeki Harasuzu. If If you don't make my brother so tired and make him happy, I will still be willing to be a good sister with you. If you want me to call you sister, yeah, no impossible. Sakakihara Suzu calmly said, Sister Chen really spent a lot of money for my brother. Who told me that he is the only brother I have? The two's chat ended here, because Sakakibara Raku, Amamai Kururi, and Amamai Nazuki rushed to the restaurant together. All three of them are wearing the most casual clothes for daily use. Sakakibara spotted the two chatting at the window and called them outside the restaurant. Near the sea, 5 people sat down together around a long table. After sitting down, Sakakibara ordered drinks, cakes and cookies for afternoon tea for everyone. The biscuits were presented first, and all 5 of them had their share, but only Tianhai's Higsu ate them quietly after seeing the food. The atmosphere was very serious. Suzu, Natsui, and Ruri all focused their attention on Sakakihara Raku, who was directly above them, waiting for him to speak to break this awkward atmosphere. Recently, a lot of things have happened, so much that everyone is not very happy. Obviously we are all a family, but having a dinner together like this is the first time since the new semester. I know that everyone, secretly or openly, there are many things that I want to say to the other party, but it is difficult to say them out due to emotional problems. But for some things, I think it is better for everyone to speak frankly. Sakakibara paused for a moment. First of all, the first question is, do you really hope that the dispute between us will become irreversible? ... Everyone had their own expressions, but one thing was that they were all silent. Do you want your sister to disappear completely in Kyoto? Do you want her to be abandoned to despair? Do you want her to completely leave your sight? Do you want her to even jump off the building and into the sea to die? Sakakihara Suzu withdrew her gaze, lowered her eyes, closed her eyes, took a light breath, and then said, a sister is destined to be a sister. I don't want my sister to end up in this situation. Okay, Sakakibara looked at Sakakibara again. Ruri hopes that Kia will disappear, cut off the relationship with you, and spend his whole life alone, with books as his companions, without anyone caring about him. Do you even want to watch your sister live a happy life that she never had? Sakakibara Raku was silent for a longer time this time, and she looked towards Sakakibara Suzu. After looking at it for a while, she also lowered her gaze and closed her eyes. I don't hope at all. I also hope that July can be happy. I also hope that she can go out more and see more of the world instead of reading books all the time. She can get the longing she has always had from books. Sakakibara understood. Okay, the second question is, have you ever felt guilty for saying something outrageous to each other? Sakakibara Raku was the first to answer, yes. Sakakihara Suzu also replied immediately, yes. The third question is, do you miss the time you spent with each other in the past? Yes, this time they both said in unison. Tianhai Kaimingyu looked understanding. Obviously, you both still miss each other's past emotions. Even if it escalates to a fight, you still have a trace of reconciliation in your heart. Li Yulai, let's talk about it first. If you win in July, how will you plan for July? Sakakibara Raku looked at Sakakibara Suzu again, and finally looked at Tenkai Nanamayu. If I win, I still want to reconcile with July as sisters. Sakihara Suzu waved her hand directly and interjected. If sister wins, I will leave directly. I will not disturb your lives. If you still want me to stay by your side, I will only see the sweetness between you. And who am I? It's better to just leave. Sakakibara asked Tianhai Jurili again. Then if Kia wins, Li Yulai, what will you do? This question made Tianhai Julai's expression dim. After thinking for a long time, he opened his mouth and said calmly. Probably, I'll still go find my mother. I don't know the meaning of my existence anymore. Tian Haikimingyu frowned. Why does my sister go to find her mother? Didn't your mother hurt your sister enough? Tian Haijuli Yuli's face was filled with bitterness, but if I don't do this, I don't know what else I should do. No one expects it, and there is no goal of my own. No one even wants to love my mother. Although it is false, but for me, at least I will wish you happiness in July. Anyway, I don't agree with you, sister, to find your mother. Sakakibara quickly interrupted the conversation between the two. Okay, if we continue the topic, we will talk too much. So, you both still miss each other's feelings, and you don't want each other to end up like that after failure, right? Dot. Both quiet. After listening to it for a long time, Sakakihara Suzu finally understood and complained to the two of them angrily. What, you two have such a deep love for each other as sisters, why are you still quarreling like this? You both want to win, but you don't want the other to lose. Isn't this contradictory? Tian Haikimingyu explained calmly, wanting to win is out of emotion, and not wanting the other party to lose is out of family affection and friendship. Sakakihara Suzu responded immediately, I understand, but since there is a conflict, shouldn't you make a choice in the middle? Only by making a choice will the conflict be resolved. Tian Haijuli Yuli quickly said, Ling, it's really because I couldn't make a choice that I ended up like this. I understand it all, but the trade-off I am talking about is not asking you to give up anything. Why don't you just neutralize a few emotions yourself? Why do they have to be completely opposite? Just like me, although now I am because of you are dissatisfied with the relationship between you and my brother, but it's not like I don't treat you as family members. They were both silent again. Sakakihara Raku didn't expect that Suzu would actually answer the question. Although some of his words were a bit shameless, he had to say them now. Okay, that's it for now. Let me make my thoughts clear. Kyo and Liuli, I won't give up on any of you unless you give up on your own. If you understand my idea, I won't give up. If you still want to insist, I have made it clear here. I, Sakakibara Raku, want to date both of you, Amkai Nanamajetsu and Amamikuruuri, at the same time. Do you accept it? After hearing this, Suzu Sakakihara smacked her lips and turned out to be a real scumbag. It's so arrogant to read the sentence in a serious manner. Super crummy. However, if the problem between the two sisters cannot be solved directly, the longer time goes on, it will only make everyone suffer. Hearing this, Tian Haikimingyu directly held her forehead. Do you know that you are dash? Do you accept it? Sakakihara interrupted her directly. Lejun, actually there is no need now dash. Where's Liuli? Do you accept it or not? No answer. Sakakibara Raku, I don't want to force you, but if you don't accept it, it means that our talks have broken down. If you don't accept my conditions, I will leave on my own. Is it reasonable? Then everyone will separate. Just be yourself, so that everyone can go back to the past, no longer feel uncomfortable, and you no longer have to see me. Sakakihara Suzu raised her hands high and echoed loudly. Okay. Great. I agree with my hands. It's good to separate, it's great to separate. This way, brother's time is all mine. There will be countless potato chips and fried rice to eat in the future. Tianhai's Higsu ate cookies quietly, and only the two sisters fell into endless silence. Sakakibara looked at the two of them and said calmly. I know it's difficult for you to make a choice, but shouldn't we talk frankly like this? If you all make your words clear, you won't be painful in the future. If you don't agree, it's very simple. Ling and I will move out. Live your own life and you don't have to be entangled between me, it's not that you have. It goes without saying. Amamai Nanamayu interrupted Sakakibara Raku's words, and her tangled eyes looked at Amamai Kuruori, who was also tangled. I agree. I don't want to say more. It should be said that I originally wanted to give someone to my sister in the early days. I have thought about this issue for a long time. As for me to give up now, I'm sorry, I can't do it. Same thing. What I can't do is ask my sister to go back to see her mother. This is the only compromise. Even if it sounds ridiculous. Her voice was very low, as if she was fighting a psychological battle, and she was extremely reluctant. Sakaki Haro looked at Juliuli. She agreed in Kyo. What about Juliuli? Tianhai Juliuli pursed her thin lips for a long time. When she heard that her sister actually agreed to this request, she sighed in her heart and felt helpless. At the same time, there is also the thought that I am actually not as good as July. Because in July, he actually agreed to get along with me like this. Wouldn't it feel weird in July? Isn't she a very arrogant person? Under such a psychological influence, Tianhai Juliuli clenched her fists after struggling for a while, speaking intermittently and hesitatingly. Thinking of Chi-Chi, thinking of all the things in the past, what happened in recent days, and Chi-Chi's words to enlighten me regardless of past grudges. The hands clenched tighter and tighter, and the emotions became more and more entangled as he thought about them. Sweat dripped from his forehead. His emotions reached the limit. Finally, Tianhai Juliuli said helplessly, "Yeah." Sakaki Hararaku agreed. Tianhai Juliuli didn't want to look at him, "Yeah." Reluctantly. About the fact that I unintentionally raised my sister to be a cripple. Author, Wo Buletin 11 Huan Tiu Lan. Chapter 366. Li Yulai didn't come to see her when she said this, but Sakakibara also knew that this was a state that she had initially accepted. Li Yulai didn't go to see Kyo after she agreed. Her mood at this time was very complicated. Sakakihara understands this. When she agrees to this condition, it means she wants to share the love in her heart, and it means she wants to get back together with Kyo. No matter how you say it, sharing the same lover with yourself and getting back together is always too confusing and strange, similar to the state of being reluctant to leave the other person after a quarrel, but still angry with the other person, maintaining an awkward state of being apart. Therefore, after Li Yulai agreed, everyone could only remain silently listening to the sea breeze outside the restaurant and smelling the oak smell of the wooden loft in the restaurant. Amamai Kuruori was the first to look at Sakakibara Raku. What she saw at the same time was her sister's face, so her expression and words were even more hesitant. "Sorry, Lejun, I want to go back and calm down first. It's not because I suddenly regretted it, but because I want to be alone and calm down." "Well, you can call me at any time if you need anything. If you want to tell me anything, you can also contact me at any time. I will definitely reply to you as soon as I see it." This sentence made Tianhai Juliuli's eyes stay on his expression for one more second, and she pursed her lips in silence. "Then I'll take my leave first. Yuki, please ask Suzuchan to take care of me first." "Huh? Of course." After Sakakibara Suzu nodded in agreement, Amamai Kururi stood up from the table first, nodded slightly to everyone, took one last look at Sakakibara Suzu, and then said goodbye and left. Tianhai Juliuli smoothly pulled the refreshments in front of Tianhai Juliuli in front of him, picked up a small biscuit and put it in his mouth, and said while eating, "Really, Sister Liuli ran away without eating anything. She doesn't respect food enough." She then glanced at everyone present. Amamai Nanamajetsu, who remained silent, Sakakibara Raku, who didn't take the initiative to speak but was watching everyone, and Amamai Nazuki, who was lying on the table like a cat with her fleshy face sleeping lazily. Tianhai Juliuli was also observing everyone's expressions while eating. "Brother is very calm. The kind of scumbag looks like after he realizes that he is indeed a scumbag. He seemed to be waiting for July Fox to speak. July Fox. July Fox looks more like the kind of wordless silence after accepting the reality that he is unwilling to accept. She was probably also persuading herself in her heart to accept the status quo, right? No matter what you say, Kia Fox is an extremely proud woman. Sakaki Harasuzu knew that it would be very difficult to make such a woman lower her figure. She propped up her face, slowly picked up the grapes and put them into her mouth. She found that the more she observed Chi Minjiao, the more she admired her. Is it really worth it for her to do this for her brother? Aren't people all selfish? Why would you want to compromise to this extent for someone? When this idea first came up, she didn't quite understand it, but now that she has put herself in Chi Minjiao and combined with the night in the amusement park, she can really understand Chi Minjiao's psychology. Tianhai Yulai helplessly spread his hands, and said without thinking that it had nothing to do with him. What a poor woman. Sakaki Harasuzu opened her eyes and looked towards her. Although this is not in line with my psychological expectations, it is the best solution at this stage. Sister Chan, do you have any good solutions? No, Tianhai Yulai shook his head, spreading his hands even more helplessly. Just because there is no other way, that's why I say poor woman. I can still tell this clearly. This is probably because you, Sister Chan, are like this too. That's right. But although I can't gain anything further, I won't lose anything at least. I'll look away. Hope so. The afternoon tea was officially over. Amidst the bickering between Qi Ling and Qi Ling, they finished the refreshments they had ordered before. Everyone walked out of the restaurant and headed back to the hotel. When taking the bus, Sakakibara Suzu wanted to sit next to Sakakibara Raku, but Nanamajetsu drove her away halfway. What are you doing? Tianhai Yulai blinked, his cheeks puffed up, looking a little angry. My brother was snatched away by these two women, and now he has to compete with me for a seat on the bus. Sakaki Harasuzu glanced at her. I just have something to say to your brother. This time, Tianhai Yulai didn't care too much about her. He waved his hand and said, okay, okay. Why is the July Fox so generous today? I'll be generous too. After that, she walked to the back to accompany the sleepy Tianhai's Higsu. Rakia Sakakibara, who was sitting by the window in the back seat of the bus, saw Nanamajetsu sitting next to him. What do you want to ask me in July? I want to ask someone what they are thinking right now. Sakaki Haru smiled. Me? What can I think? I am naturally happy to see you reconcile. Sakaki Harasuzu turned her head, the tips of her little green hair fluttering on her shoulders. Aren't you happy because you can justifiably hug your sister from left to right? This. I admit, it does exist. After all After all, hugging each other is a man's ideal, right? Tianhai Kaimingyu said coldly. That's right. Then what do you think about a woman hugging two men? Sakaki Haru said calmly, if several people are willing and it does not affect others, I agree to this relationship. Tianhai Kaimingyu became a little more interested, and her expression changed. Oh? From your male perspective, wouldn't you feel uncomfortable if you saw me holding other men? It will definitely feel uncomfortable, just like you will feel uncomfortable when you see me hugging Julie Yulai. This kind of thing will always happen. Tianhai Kaimingyu, if I have a new relationship, but my heart for you has not changed at all, and it is not a new relationship that arises from the gaps in the heart of the old relationship, what will you think? Sakakibara said calmly. Of course I will bless you and congratulate you for finding someone new who is worthy of your trust. But at the same time, I will also be reluctant to let you go. I want to retain you, your kindness to me, and your bottomless devotion to me again and again. You mean you'd rather be one of the two men being loved? Raku Sakakibara, this kind of man is called a fool in society. Likewise, he who is willing to be one of two women to be loved is also a fool. Tian Haikaimingu took another look at him. Your answer is that you can't be a fool. That's right. That's why I don't have the magnanimity of Kyo and Li Yulai. On this point, I owe you scumbags. But on the other hand, if you actively choose to be a fool in Kyo, I will feel deeper than before. I love you so much. There is no conflict with this. Tian Haikaimingu stared at him motionless. A love is cut in half, and this half is stronger than the previous love. Am I right to understand this? That's right. How are you going to love me? This thing is too broad, the conditions are insufficient, and the factors are unclear. The answer is as difficult as saving your wife or saving your mother. How to love? This question should be answered based on the actual situation. The sound of the bus's engine echoed in my ears, and the carriage swayed slightly with the crane on the pole. Tian Haikaimingu was quite satisfied when she heard his answer. Although it is not the most ideal state that I expected, compared to the state that I was never satisfied with when I was a child, I am at least satisfied now. Sakaki Hararaku heard that there was something in her words and continued to listen patiently. 7 bright moons in the sky and sea. People are like this sometimes. When they have no food, they think a piece of bread is enough. When they only have bread, they think a little more peanut butter will be good. With peanut butter, they think they can have some bacon and lettuce, and then there are grilled sausages, grilled chicken, roast beef. When these material desires are satisfied, you will mentally imagine things you have never obtained. If you ask why I suddenly agreed to your shameless request just now, I can only answer that I feel that people should be content with what they have. I can clearly distinguish between losing half or losing everything. And for me, try to be with my sister. Sharing is not an absolute must. Of course there is a prerequisite for this, that is, the sister must also think so. There is no reason why I agreed to you so quickly. Tian Haikaimingu's words stopped abruptly, and she looked at her own face next door. Tian Haikaimingu rested his elbows on the corner under the car window and smiled softly again. I'm listening, please continue. Do you want to hear it? Think, this is what Kaiyu said to me from the bottom of his heart. The cold and arrogant Kaiyu will also open up his heart to others and show his troubles to others one day. It's too late for me to be happy. This is the person you are relying on and relying on. Man, it was me the first time, it was me all the time, it was only me, and I feel so honored. Sakaki Harasuzu had a rare mysterious arc at the corner of her mouth, as if she couldn't help laughing after hearing some interesting point of view. There was also a little warmth in her heart. Well, I'll tell you directly. The reason why I agreed to you is actually because of how you helped me stand out 4 days ago. Those girls are talking about you. Is it because of this? Do you have such a good strategy in July? You think the way I was touched is very cliché, don't you? It's not that I feel cliché, this is something that actually happened. But it's just a very small thing, so I won't let you agree to this. That was an opportunity, and although it was a small thing, what I saw was the essence of the small thing. Someone loved me, someone was angry because they heard other people talking about me. This anger did not come from my appearance, it's because of my identity, Tian Haikaimingu, and the anger that comes from being discussed. Tian Haikaimingu looked away from his slightly surprised face, leaning against the plastic seat of the bus, half smiling but not smiling. This thing is called love. Think about it, if a child sees that his mother, who has taken care of him since he was a child, is bullied or insulted, will there be uncontrollable anger in his heart? He will fight back, he will refute that the person who insults his mother is love. And the moment you helped me out, you became unlike your usual self, and I saw it. Sakakibara understands what she means. Interestingly, Ling also behaved similarly. A group of classmates in elementary school bullied her. They broke the paper toys they made for her and deliberately poked holes with tree branches, saying, This is what suits you. As a result, a Ling got mad and fought with those brats. Although she was bullied even worse after she resisted, and was pushed to the ground by several boys at one point, crying and shouting, A Ling was never convinced from the beginning until she was suppressed, and even though she was suppressed by several people, even if you don't live, you still have to fight hard. In essence, this matter is all about anger caused by someone you love being hurt by others. Sakakihara thought of this incident and told Kyoting incidentally. Has this kind of thing ever happened before? Tianhai Kaimingyu frowned upon hearing this. After all, I was very poor before I entered junior high school. I didn't have the money to go to a private school. Naturally, there are all kinds of people in the national primary school. Don't underestimate children. Good and evil are matters for children in a matter of seconds. I know this. In fact, most children like this have one thing in common: family discord. Brother, how do you deal with this kind of thing in the future? Sakakihara laughed. You can ask Suzu. So Amami Nanami turned around and asked Sakakihara Suzu, who was sitting behind her, about this matter. What? That thing. Brother saw that I didn't look for him after school for a long time, so he came to find me, and then he found me, and then beat up all those brats, Sakakibara Suzu said. My fists were clenched with excitement. Hit them all? How many people? Maybe 5 or 6. Tianhai Kaimingyu thought about the scene at that time. The child was bullied and pushed to the ground, unable to defeat the opponent, but here comes the old man. Nanami smiled lightly, turned back to Sakakibara Suzu and said, Sister Chan must have thought that my brother at that time was very handsome, right? More than handsome. Sakakibara Suzu replied immediately and excitedly, it's so handsome. You can't imagine how handsome my brother is when he suddenly appears and pulls away the group of guys. You can't understand how I feel. He also brought I and the teacher went door to door to find the parents of those guys, and saw them bending down and apologizing. Before it was over, I brought my mother to make the incident known to everyone in the school. The school was under pressure, and those guys all dropped out of school. No wonder Sister Chan is the brother controller. Of course, he's not so handsome now. After Sakakibara Suzu finished speaking, she rolled her eyes at Sakakibara Raku. After finishing the conversation with Suzu, Amami Nanamijetsu returned to the communication with Sakakibara Raku. It's not unreasonable for my brother to be liked by everyone. True tenderness is never reflected in words, but appears in actions. Sister Chan must have been touched at the beginning, and she is extremely lucky to have you as a brother. Huh? By praising me like this, does it mean Chi loves me again? Just force it? At least I didn't feel uncomfortable when I agreed to your conditions at the beginning. Regarding the so-called wish, what I hope is your love for Ling, what Ling hopes is your love for your sister, and what my sister expects is everyone loves me, so what is my brother's wish for me? Well, who knows? It seems that my brother already knows about it and has already begun to take action. Raku Sakakibara felt happy when she saw Nanami holding her arms and raising her chin slightly, the standard action of a young lady. He was happy that Chi understood him so well. She clearly understands herself, but she still looks proud. Even though she looks like a Ling now, this is too cute. Then Chi, do you know what I want to do now? What do you want me to do? Luli still can't accept our current relationship. How about we have a 3-person date? Shameless. Don't scold me in Chinese. This is also to repair the relationship between you and Li Yulai. Excuse me, is this person smelly and shameless? That's true, but please curse more. Still a pervert? Ah. Abnormal. Uncomfortable. Amidst the sound of the bus running, Amami Nanamijetsu punched the smiling Sakakibara Raku in the arm with a straight face. Not serious. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. About the fact that I unintentionally raised my sister to be a cripple. Author, Wo Buletin 11 Huan Tiu Lan. Chapter 367. Chapter 363. The early morning when the Tianhai sisters reunited was the end of their trip to Hawaii. Event reward, vocal talent level 5, 2 billion yen in cash. The reward has been distributed, please check it. The sky was getting brighter, and while Raku Sakakihara was gargling, he stared at the transparent panel that suddenly appeared in his sight in front of the mirror. He was wondering, why was there a delay of several minutes in issuing the reward? When he got up, he was still a little confused as to why the reward had not arrived. However, these are not the point. The point is that the body has changed back. Sakakibara stared at himself in the mirror. He didn't know if it was because he had been in Kyo's body for the past few days, but he suddenly felt a little uncomfortable. Apart from anything else, wearing a small skirt is quite comfortable on Julai's body. Cool and beautiful. Apart from clothes, as the 7 bright moons of the sky and the sea, she also has a mysterious sense of self-confidence. It feels so good that you will unconsciously puff up your chest, lift your chin, and become proud. It's just a little troublesome to wash my hair. Sakakihara Raku still regrets not secretly taking some private photos of Kyo's body and saving them on her phone. After simply washing his face, Sakakibara pulled up his collar, arranged his clothes for today, and prepared to go out for breakfast. July. As soon as Sakakibara opened the door, he saw Nanami Nanamijetsu reaching out to knock on the door. Nanami took back her hand to knock on the door. She did not speak first, but looked up and down at Sakakibara Raku's appearance and behavior. Have you changed back too? Actually, I'm Li Yulai. Tianhai Kaimingyu looked contemptuous. Do you think I can't tell who you are? The first time you go out, you stare at my clothes. Do you want me to show you my legs under the skirt? While Tianhai Minjiao stared at him, her right hand also lifted up the light blue skirt in front of her thigh. That's a good feeling. Sakakihara Raku immediately agreed and made a gesture to squat down and look up. This action made Amami Nanamijetsu quickly put down the skirt she had picked up. Her expression became even more disgusted. I found that my brother has become more and more perverted recently. Sakakibara stood up again, looking normal and indifferent. Of course, he didn't really mean to look at her thighs, he just knew that doing so would make Chi-Chi put her skirt down. This is also to tease July. Raku Sakakihara found it funny when he saw Nanami's slightly flustered look, not letting him see her thighs under her skirt. The little devil who likes to tease people is also here today. Pervert. Thank you for the compliment, but if I want to see your legs, I actually saw and touched them enough when I was taking a shower. Then tell me what it feels like. Why are not you talking? Very slippery. Very slippery? Do you think you've touched it enough and only got a very slippery rating? Tianhai Minjiao looked at his embarrassed expression, sighed and said, I don't know how to evaluate you. You are obviously a scumbag, but when it comes to my body, you don't even touch your legs. Do. Raku Sakakihara said confidently, a scumbag will be a scumbag, but I have to have a bottom line. Besides, who said I don't want to touch it? I want to, but wouldn't you disagree with me in July? A scumbag is a scumbag. Don't talk about scumbags. You have to have a bottom line. And if I don't agree, you won't touch me. Could this July be a hint that he can be tougher? Sakakibara frowned slightly and placed his eyes on her exquisite and flawless face, trying to see some details on the expressionless face. Instead, Tianhai Kaimingyu waved her hand and said, don't think about random things. I'm just confirming your thoughts. You are willing to respect my opinion just because I don't agree with something. This is what I like about you. This is the basic respect between lovers. That's true, but many people don't even have this most basic respect. Tian Haikaimingu hugged her chest, turned to him, and said to herself. She quickly opened one of her sky blue eyes and looked towards him. Hand, stretch out one. What? What are you doing? You are my boyfriend. Sakakibara blinked at Nanami and found that she was looking directly at him. Sakakihara took another look at her slender and fair right hand that was stretched out to him. Suddenly, he felt that she looked good. This made Sakakihara Raku a little embarrassed. Tian Haikaimingu tilted her head in confusion, and stretched out her hand to scratch her palm, as if to remind someone. Don't want to hold hands with me? I think so. I always subconsciously thought that you wouldn't do this in Chi. Why? Why? Because you see, you didn't always say anything to me before and I wasn't allowed to see or touch you. When I wanted to grab your hand, you still beat my hand away. Tian Haikaimingu kept reaching out and looked at his expression. That's because I couldn't feel your love for me before. I only felt your pity for me. Now, Sakakihara tried to ask. Now we have it. Tian Haikaimingu nodded. Even if I have two legs. Even if you have two boats. Okay, you have said so in Kyo, so I would rather obey your orders than respect you. Halfway through Sakakibara Raku's words, he held Kyo's hand in his own. Very, very, very strange feeling. It's obviously not the first time to hold Chi-Chi's hand, and it's obviously not the first time to see Chi-Chi. But when I saw Chi-Chi's beautiful face, and when I saw her hand being held casually and arbitrarily by him, there was still a sweet taste in my heart. And he will feel the touch of her hands with his heart. Thin, the skin is very soft and smooth, with a bit of fragile and delicate skin. The fingers are not as thick as my own, and when held in my hand, they show a slender beauty. The longer he kept her hand in his, the more he wanted to hold her, as if he could really feel her presence beside him. Tian Haikaimingu saw that he still looked like an innocent boy at this time, so she took the initiative to hold hands with him, palms facing each other. What are you thinking about now? I'm thinking about having such a beautiful wife. I feel so happy. Raku Sakakihara replied. Have I admitted that I am your wife? Now I am just your girlfriend. Raku Sakakibara walked to the breakfast cafeteria with Nanami. It's not bad, it's not bad. Don't you like getting married in July? I brought up your favorite title in advance. How about calling me husband? How about you? The silly kind. Tian Haikaimingu used her other hand to gently twist the flesh on his waist, and with a cold face, she said to his smiling profile, I just wanted to praise you for your innocence, but I didn't expect you are still so shameless. The more scumbag a man is, the more he will love a woman. You love me so much in Kyo now. If I die suddenly, won't you be sad? Will you shed tears for me? I will only say that the scumbag died well. Tian Haikaimingu frowned. Why are you asking such a childish question? When your heart smells like honey, your questions will naturally become childish. Sakakibara felt like holding Kyo in his hand, and the corners of his mouth couldn't help but turn up. Nothing else, I just feel that Kyo has become so proactive towards me and just said I love myself, which makes me very happy. Even though she had known for a long time that Chi-Chi liked her very much, when she actually said this to her face to face, she was still very excited. The two of them walked into the elevator together and pressed the floor number in the hotel cafeteria lobby. I went to see my sister yesterday. Sakakihara looked at the floor numbers jumping on the LED panel and heard what Chi-Chi said next to him. Sakakihara was surprised to look at her profile and her bright flaxen long hair. Did you really go to persuade Li Yulai? Here we go. Tian Haikaimingu, whose long hair stretched behind her, crossed her arms and nodded. I thought you still had feelings for Li Yulai. I still have some opinions against my sister, but now that she has apologized to me, I will also forgive her. Of course there are many reasons, so I won't go into details one by one. Sakakibara was curious, how is Ruri feeling now? I also plan to take some time to spend time with her. My sister will not regret it, but she must have some hurdles in her heart, mainly towards me. My sister and I talked a lot and for a long time, but my sister and I are not as good as before. Sakakibara Raku, I just have a knot in my heart. That's right, Amami Nanamayu nodded, then turned to look at Sakakibara Raku, and I also told her the conditions for your three-person date. Sakakihara waved his hand, don't think about it, Liuli will definitely refuse. No, sister agreed. To be precise, my sister wants to agree, but she hasn't agreed yet. She also said she wanted to chat with us during breakfast this morning. It turns out that July is like this. What? You want me to help you completely defeat your sister? How do you know what I'm thinking? You have this idea written all over your face. Tian Haikaimingu said helplessly, it's okay to agree to it, but you have to agree to one condition. Just say it, say whatever you want. I'm going back to Tokyo tomorrow. After you return to Tokyo, it's time for you to fulfill your promise. This once again left Sakakihara Raku speechless for a long time. Are you sure you are ready this time? I can do it anytime. What do you think? That seems ready. Sakakihara understood the idea. Also, in July, I will take Ruri to England during the summer vacation. Will you go with me? What to do? Untie Liuli's heart knot. The hotel's buffet restaurant hall. As soon as Sakakibara Raku and Amami Nanamajetsu walked in, they saw Amami Kururi, who had stood at a table in advance. In front of her was a plate of breakfast for 3 people. So Sakakibara Raku and Amami Nanamaj walked over directly and sat down in front of her. When Amami Kururi saw Sakakibara Raku and his sister coming here at the same time, he knew that they came together. Morning. Morning. Good morning, sister. July is early. After the usual daily greetings, the 3 of them started the serious breakfast session. Amami Kururi had been secretly watching Sakakibara Raku and Amami Nanamajetsu while they were eating. She wanted to know how the relationship between the two had changed after she agreed to it yesterday. But after watching it for a long time, nothing seems to have changed. Eat when you should, do what you should do. Tian Haijuli Yuli felt very calm when she saw this scene, but she didn't know why she was jealous when she saw the 2 of them walking together just now. Isn't this acceptable for the 2 of them to be together? Tian Haijuli Yuli used a fork to dig at the contents of the Western dinner plate, and suddenly found that there was a peeled lobster on his dinner plate. When he looked up, he saw that it was indeed given to him by Sakakibara Raku. Thank you, Tian Haijuli Yuli said subconsciously. What's there to be thankful for? Tian Haijuli Yuli took a closer look and found that not only was it on his plate, but also in Kyo's bowl. This is probably what is called fairness in treating 2 people. Tian Haijuli Yuli thought so in his heart. Sakakibara ate the bread in his mouth and asked the person opposite, didn't Liuli say that you have something to tell us? Tian Haijuli Yuli hesitated for a moment, then scratched the eggs on the plate with the fork in his hand. That's right. The main reason is that I want to sit and chat with Lejun and Kyo. By the way, the 3 of them are dating, although I think this matter is very strange. It's indeed strange, Sakakihara Raku did not deny, so actually there is no need for Ruri to be so entangled. If Ruri doesn't want to agree, just refuse. Tian Haikaimingu directly interjected between the 2 people. Sister, there is no need to listen to what brother says. I have already scolded him for being shameless about this matter, and he also knows his mistake. It's better not to say that about Lejun in July. No, sister doesn't have to protect him like this. If you should call him a scumbag, just call him a scumbag. It's his fault anyway. This way, sister will feel better. Yes, if you deserve to be scolded, you should scold me, Scold me whatever you want. Sakakihara nodded while raising his fork. Tianhai Kaimingyu rolled her eyes at him. After all, after scolding you, you still hugged me, right? Hey. This is what you said in Kyo, don't say it was said by me. When Tianhai Julie Yulai heard what Tianhai Chi Minjiao said just now, she felt a little guilty for her. I'm very sorry, Kyo, now you still say these caring words to me, even though I said so much before, it's special to you, something outrageous. Didn't I tell my sister too? Tianhai Julie Yulai shook his head. I said it first, so the fault is mine. I won't care about it even if my sister apologizes. Besides, my sister already apologized to me last night, which is enough. Sorry. It's okay, sister. Besides, according to the actual situation, doesn't it count as me stealing your affection, sister? Actually, there is still a little difference. After all, it was the agreement you made with Lejun in July. No, although there was an agreement, someone did not directly agree to my identity. It was just an agreement. But it's still July. After all, it's July and you come first. No, in actual terms, my sister comes first. Sakakibara was eating breakfast and saw the two sisters going from quarreling to giving in to each other, eating with great relish. After so long and so many things. In fact, as long as the two sisters are more honest with each other, the irreconcilable conflict between them can actually be adjusted. It's very harmonious now. Sakakibara smiled and continued eating breakfast, letting the two sisters talk. Stop being so silly, Tianhai Kaimingyu interrupted his trance-like fantasy. Huh? What did Kia want to say? Sakakibara Raku then discovered that Tiankainan Minjiao and Tianhaiju really had gone to sit together at some point. I just discussed with my sister about future time arrangements. Schedule? What schedule? After we go home tomorrow, our relationship will be officially settled. 1, 3, and 5 belong to me, and 2, 4, and 6 belong to my sister. You can rest on the weekend. Raku Sakakihara was immediately speechless. Are you going to fall in love, or do you want me to go to work? Who is qualified to say? On the other side of the breakfast canteen, Sakakihara Suzu saw three people not far away. The more she looked at them, the more she wanted to complain. Aunt Zi, do you think the relationship between the three of them is really good? How many times have I told you that you can call me Sister Zi or Teacher Zi? Tianhai Zi also looked over and saw Tianhai Kaimingyu and Tianhai Julie Yulai sitting together. Can the three of them get along well with me? I don't know, but I know that the old man will definitely not agree to the current relationship between the three of them, and he will not take care of them now. After saying that, Tianhai Zi glanced at Tianhai Hixu, who was eating quietly. She knew that the relationship between Yuki and Kiju had also improved a lot. Kiju is now settled. Next, let's look at how to deal with Yuki's feelings after returning to Tokyo. Xiao, you still have the old man's knife hanging over your head. There's still a long way to go. Tianhai forked a piece of sausage with a smile, put it in his mouth and savored it. Aunt Azusa, ouch. Sister Azusa Suzu Sakakihara touched her forehead reluctantly. Are we going back to Tokyo tomorrow? Otherwise. You haven't stayed enough? It's been a full 15 days. Well, I'll be busy again after I get back. Tianhai laughed. How do you feel after staying for 15 days? Not so good. Ah, by the way, Tianhai seemed to have remembered something. Her smile widened. Aling, you haven't given me your study trip research report yet. How many words does that thing have? Sakakihara Suzu asked cautiously. At least 20,000 words, after all, it took 15 days of research. 20,000 words. I don't want to write this. Hee, everyone has written, including Zhigzhu, but Ailing, you haven't handed it over to me yet. Ailing, prepare to write it quickly. We have to fly back tomorrow morning. No way. About the fact that I unintentionally raised my sister to be a cripple. Author, Wo Buletin 11 Huan Tiu Lan. Chapter 368. Said it was a trip of 3. But in fact, after returning from the school trip, Sakaki Hararaku found that there were almost no opportunities for the three of them to stay together. Either accompany Liulai in the student union to complete some student union work, or stay in the literature club in July, read books with her, and organize the bookshelves in the literature club with her. This time can be said to be quite leisurely. Because not only did the old man not interfere with his relationship with Kiju during this period, but even his uncle chose to acquiesce in his relationship with Kiju. It's just that Sakaki Bararaku felt something was wrong with the way his uncle looked at her when he came home. It was a calm, silent gaze with a sense of overlooking, like the eyes of an interrogator. Sakaki Hararaku feels a little scared when he thinks about it now. Dad's birthday will be in a few days. After the school bell rang in the literature department classroom, Tianhaichi Minjiao, who was sitting by the window wearing gold-rimmed glasses, squinted at the door and suddenly said this. Sakaki Bararaku had just arrived at the literature club. As soon as he opened the door, he heard the words of Amami Nanamajetsu that almost made him unable to hold back. He almost subconsciously asked the girl with gold-rimmed glasses on her nose. Uncle's birthday? True or false? There is no need for me to deceive you about this matter, although I understand that it is difficult for you to face my father now. What? Tianhaichi Minjiao watched him walk into the classroom and come in front of her. It's nothing. I just always feel that the way my uncle looks at me these days, he seems to want to put me in Kishin prison. Sakakibara opened the stool, put down his skull bag, and sat down in front of Tenkai Nanamayu. Tianhai's Higsu is still sleeping here, with a lot of homework pressed on her right cheek and a crooked black gel pen in her hand. This leaves some strange black lines on the exercise book. As soon as Sakaki Hara sat down like this, the three of them seemed to be surrounding a desk against the wall. Nanami's side face reflected the blue sky and white clouds outside the window. She raised her chin, closed the book in her hand, and asked directly to Raku Sakakibara in front of her. So, what gifts are you planning to prepare? It's hard to talk about this. Does July have any suggestions? My suggestion is that you, brother, try your best to win over Dad, otherwise it will be difficult for you to get through Grandpa's confinement. I understand, I asked my uncle and my mother to go out for dinner together, right? Raku Sakaki Hara lay on the table and reached out to poke Amami Nazuki's beautiful sleeping nose. The more I think about this, the more embarrassing it becomes. I'll take you two with me, go see your uncle and mom or something. Tianhai's Higsu's little nose is very soft. If you poke it gently, you can also get some responses from her in her sleep, and you will hear her lazily hum. Raku Sakakibara thought it was really fun to poke her, so he poked her a few more times, and Amami no Yuki's reaction became bigger and bigger. Just as Yuki was about to be awakened, a closed library book suddenly cut off his index finger from poking Tianhai's Higsu's nose. Sakakibara lay on the table, looking up the library, and saw the look in Amami Nanamayu's eyes that was almost equivalent to contempt under those gold-rimmed glasses. Sakaki Hara decisively stopped and smiled at her. Are you jealous? Don't touch other women in front of me, whether they are sisters or not. In fact, after returning from Hawaii, Sakakibara also found that Chi-Chi was quite controlling. Although she agreed to be able to use her own hands, she even agreed to help solve Liulai's problem. But if she really saw her and Liulai hanging out together, she would still be a little unhappy. I understand, Sakaki Hararaku understands very well, this is jealousy. So, as usual, Sakaki Hara moved the stool to Kyo and sat very close to her. July. If you have anything to say, say it quickly. Don't shout my name like a child asking for milk. Faced with his shameless approach, Tianhai Minjio chose to turn her face to the other side. Sakakibara could only see the side of her face, but found that her hand was still on the school skirt, so he reached out to cover her little hand, touched the back of her smooth hand, and blew the air in her ear. Aren't you all? Did you agree to Li Yulai? Just don't be so jealous in normal times, okay? Sometimes you're cute when you're jealous, and sometimes you're cold. If you're too cold, you're not cute. My lack of clarity has nothing to do with you. I just can't adjust for a while, Tianhai Kaimingyu replied angrily, but she didn't open his hand to touch her. And regarding this question of mine, you can do it with just one sentence solved. You should think about some gifts for my dad. Of course I will think about this. Besides, don't I belong to you now? Are you anxious? Tianhai Kaimingyu laughed softly. It's been a week since I came back. Tianhai Minjio was quiet for a while, and then answered, tomorrow is Friday, school will be over early in the afternoon, and I will take you somewhere. Where? You just have to promise me. Okay, I promise you in July. Asterisk. Sakakibara Raku didn't know where Chi-Chi was talking about, what he was going to do, or what other purposes he had. It's good not to be clear. Maintaining a certain sense of mystery will bring more expectations for the new day. After finishing his homework in the literature club and waiting for Ruri to finish her work in the student union, Sakakibara took the three of them home together and went to the supermarket to buy groceries. Time seems to have returned to the past. Tianhai Kaimingyu and Tianhai Yulai wore Western-style school uniforms, pleated skirts, and small leather shoes, and walked in front carrying school bags. They held hands and chatted with each other about what happened today. Chi-Chi hadn't eaten potato chips for a long time and wanted to buy some potato chips to put in the refrigerator. Li Yulai asked herself to buy less potato chips for her, saying that eating too many potato chips would be bad. And this happened to be heard by Chi-Chi, who would hold her sister's arm and say, "Sister is too much." So weird, really weird. Although he was pushing the cart and following the two of them, he was very close, yet he felt like they were far away in the horizon. If you look around a little bit, you might not be able to recognize who the two sisters are. There is a touch of unreality. Happy in a daze. This sentence was said by Minazuki to Sakakibara Raku. After Raku Sakakihara heard her voice, he continued pushing the car and followed the two sisters around the mall. Tianhai's Higsu asked again, why is Le in a daze? Have you seen Li Yulai and Kyo? I saw it, in front. When Li Yulai Kyo and I first met, this was how we went to the supermarket with them. At that time, we were still a little bit different. Kyo was closer to her sister than to me. She even contacted me just to tease her. Even though I was not familiar with either of them when I was playing with Li Yulai, I had an idea of wanting to get in touch with them, and I also thought the twins were very beautiful and cute. I don't quite understand what Le wants to say. Sakakihara chuckled. It doesn't matter if you don't understand well. It's just that for me, Kyo and Li Yulai were very simple and happy at the beginning. But later on, I discovered that they had a heavy past behind them. Knowing them, the more I understand that the happiness between them is hard-won. Although it is a bit shameless to say this, I really want them to bring everyone back to the past time and the relaxed and joyful atmosphere when we first met. Tianhai's Higsu blinked. I seem to understand. That's good. Sakakibara put his hand on Minazuki's head and rubbed her beige hair. Actually, this is the same for you, Higsu. I really don't want to make you sad, and I also want to you get happiness, care, and joy in this family and in everyone's relationships. Sakakibara Raku's voice when he said this was so gentle that Amami no Yuki heard it and felt that he was seriously caring about her. I secretly looked up at him and felt that he was like a big brother, solid and reliable. Similarly, Tianhai's Higsu also had an idea in her mind. She whispered to Sakakibara. I also want to make Le happy. Huh? Really? Really? Tianhai's Higsu was as simple as a child and spoke very straightforwardly without hesitation. She kept looking at him with her eyes beside him. If Le is sad, I will also be unhappy, so I won't. It will make Le unhappy. Thank you. I'm happier than anyone else that Yuki has such a heart. Asterisk. After buying groceries from the supermarket and returning home, Raku Sakakibara resumed his daily routine of ending the day. Do homework, learn new knowledge, make dinner with Liulai, and then wait until Aling comes home after work, and everyone sits together to have dinner. At the same dinner table, there was a long-lost I'm starting. Aling was still restless while eating, and kept complaining about the weird and embarrassing things of some of her colleagues. Tianhai Chi Minjia was listening, and they complained about Aling's words at any time. Chi Chi's words were always to the point. Of course Aling was not convinced, and then, the two started a daily bickering mode. In the past, Sakakihara Raku would definitely have stopped him. But now both he and Liulai smiled knowingly. How long have you not seen such a harmonious scene? There will be small quarrels and bickering, and then peace will return after eating a bowl of rice with the same taste. Is the so-called happy life nothing more than this? Ling, Chi, Ju, Shui, everyone is actually looking forward to such a simple daily life. Raku Sakakihara was very happy to see it, and after everyone finished dinner, he took the initiative to wash the dishes. Amamai Kuruori came over to help, and Sakakihara Raku was responsible for washing. She used clean water to rinse the foam off the dishes and chopsticks. By the way, Ruri Sakakihara suddenly started talking. What? Tianhai Julie Yulai looked at him. Let's go to England during the summer vacation. Tianhai Julie Yulai was stunned. Sakakihara looked at her. What, don't you want to go? No, Tianhai Julie Yulai replied in hesitation. She lowered her head and continued to clean the porcelain bowl in her hand. It's just that it's a little too fast. Not fast. Sakakibara replied. In fact, he specifically asked Zayakio for his opinion on Liulai's trip to England. As the twin sister, Kyo's opinions are also to the point. Liulai, in fact, is still a person without self. She longs for everyone's love, but has no independence of her own. The purpose of going to England was to visit their mother again, to help Liulai face the past and establish herself. When asked why they suddenly talked about their mother, whom they had not seen for a long time, Sakakihara Raku could only answer that Bertha had never given up, but she now understood that her influence on Liulai was too small and she could not influence Liulai. It's just an effect. Fortunately, she didn't take advantage of Liulai when she was in despair. Raku Sakakibara cleaned the plate in his hands. Luli hasn't completely given up on the piano, right? That's true, but actually I haven't practiced for a long time. I only met when I went to join the band with everyone. What do Liulai think about the piano? Tianhai Julie Yulai thought about it for a long time, although, this is something my mother gave me, and I have had many unpleasant memories for it, but my achievements on the piano are not all unsatisfactory. I also enjoyed some standing on the stage, a feeling of. Sakakihara Raku could still remember Ruri's piano recital. The eyes of the 2,000 people in the audience focused on Liulai. She stood in the center of the stage and saluted everyone like a princess. How could this not have any impact on Liulai, who had lacked recognition since childhood? Sakakibara looked at Tianhai's nine-glazed face. Then if I told you, Liulai, that I also wanted you to participate in a world piano competition, Liulai, what would you think? Tianhai Julie Yulai met his gaze and froze on the spot. Lejun, you also want me to win a World Series? Yes. Can I ask Lejun why? Sakakihara smiled and said, the reason is actually as I said just now. To Liuli, the piano is no longer something that your aunt forced you to give to Liuli. In your heart, Liuli, the piano also means a lot to you. I have been recognized above and recognized by everyone. And now I hope, Liuli, that you can be recognized by the whole world. Hopefully I get recognition from the whole world. This sentence made Liuli freeze his hands in mid-air and murmured again. That's right, recognition from the whole world, doesn't it sound very passionate? Sakakihara smiled again, and I will also participate. Liuli came back to his senses and asked in surprise, Lejun will also participate. Well, although I'm still a novice piano player, and I'm only at an outside level like level 10, I don't want to just see your own efforts. I want to work hard with you during your hard work, Liuli, and personally witness your success. This passage made Liuli think about it for a long time. She was thinking, what does the piano mean to herself? Does the piano technique that her mother taught her to realize her dream mean that the piano does not belong to her at all? Does Lejun want him to participate, or does his true heart want him to participate? For me, is the piano something that was forced upon me by my mother, or has it become my own achievement? I don't know what I am for, I don't know what I like, I don't know what is my own. Question. Too many. Liuli didn't even know if he could give himself an answer. But what she knew was that she had indeed been confused for too long. I promise. Huh? Liuli agreed. Liuli nodded, yes, I agreed. Although this was Lejun's suggestion to me, and although Lejun also expected to see me stand on the world stage, the difference from my mother's time is that I have thought about it. The way I stand on the stage, and Lejun has never taken advantage of me, but sincerely hopes that I can get something of my own. For this, for Lejun and for myself, I will participate in the competition and will definitely stand on the stage. The world stage. Sakakihara was happy to see some shadows of the past on her face and eyes. That's the Liuli I expected. I should say the real Liuli. In fact, Liuli doesn't need to rely on anyone. But, don't Lejun like the way I rely on you? That's right, but Liuli, who is full of confidence and self, is also charming. In fact, it doesn't matter, because whether it is Liuli who needs others or the confident Liuli in the past, I like them all. All I want is, it's just to make Liuli live comfortably and live like herself. Liuli pursed her lips tightly when she heard what he said. In fact, what I have been looking forward to since I was a child is a person who can support me from behind. After Sakakibara finished speaking, he also made a joke to her. Of course, Liuli, don't let me defeat you on the field. Liuli also smiled beautifully, no, it's better for Lejun not to be eliminated in the preliminary round. I also hope to compete with you in the finals. It seems that Liuli is really looking forward to that scene, so we have agreed that during the summer vacation, we will go to the World Piano Competition together. Okay, promise, pull the hook. Hook. Besides, Liuli, is there anything that Uncle particularly likes? Ah. About the fact that I unintentionally raised my sister to be a cripple. Author, Wo Bulletin 11 Huan Tou Lan. Chapter 369. Lejun. At 12 o'clock in the night, Sakakihara Raku was half asleep and half awake, and a light call lingered in his ears. He held back his sleepiness, squinted his eyes and looked into the dim room, then turned his head. Lejun. The arm seemed to be lightly pushed. Lejun. After 3 calls in a row, Sakakihara realized that he was not dreaming, but that someone was really calling him. Sakakibara turned around and found an Amami Nanami lying under the covers. That's not right, the expression on this one should be that of Ruri. Sakakihara Raku has become accustomed to her liking to get under the covers. Seeing Ruri's hazy and beautiful face leaning against the moonlight, Sakakibara leaned on the pillow, smiled at her, and asked. What's wrong? I couldn't sleep well, so I came to see you. I didn't disturb Lejun's rest, right? Of course not. I would be happy to have someone to sleep with me. Sakakibara reached out and hugged her to him. The girl's body was very soft and warm. Tianhaijuli Yulai was very familiar with his movements and took the initiative to follow his movements, gently resting her head in his arms. I feel the warmth in my arms, as if my shoulders have support, and my heart is getting warmer under the quilt. But Li Yulai suddenly couldn't sleep and came to see me. Is there something you want to tell me? It doesn't matter, it's just today. I want to sleep with you, Lejun. After hearing the indistinct voice like a whisper from Ruri in his arms, Sakakihara didn't think much, only thinking that she hadn't been with him like this for a long time. Luli relied on me so much, so I have to say I'm sorry to you. I shouldn't have hidden anything from you at that time, Luli. Lejun, you don't need to say that, I also know. If you, Lejun, had said those things to me from the beginning, it would have been harder for me to accept the reality and even harder for me to forgive Chi-Chi. What about now? It's been a week since we came back. How are you and Kyo getting along? Tianhaijuli Yulai buried half of her face in his chest and looked up. Those pupils were brighter than usual, and seemed to contain infinite emotions for Sakakihara Raku and his sister. I get along well with Chi-Chi, and Chi-Chi will be very happy to hold my hand again. It's weird to call me sister. Huh? What's so weird? Under the quilt, Tianhaijuli Yulai buried her face deeper into his chest, her cheek touching the warmth of his chest. Obviously I have always wanted to persuade myself to reach a reconciliation with Kyo, but every time I stay with you like this, Lejun, I don't want to share it with Kyo. This is normal, Sakakibara Raku said, because whether it is July or you, how can you share it with the person you like? Does Lejun like me? I like it, I definitely like Li Yulai, but the person who usually helps me wash dishes, help me organize my clothes, help me tie my tie, and help me organize my clothes. I still remember the look in your eyes when I flew back to my hometown before. That's an expectation that you don't want me to leave. But isn't my gentleness all an illusion? Who said that? Raku Sakakihara patted her on the back and retorted gently, although Ruri does pretend to be nice to everyone outside, Ruri is actually not. Is she a very gentle girl who thinks about others? Tianhaijuli Yulai's voice became lower in his arms. The more Lejun says this, the more regretful I feel about what I did to you before. Okay, Sakakibara closed his eyes, held her in his arms, and continued to comfort her. Everyone makes mistakes. Ruri's heart is indeed not bad. I was indeed angry that time, but then I changed. Yes, isn't it Li Yulai that you are sincere to me? And I have also concealed the fact from you. Lejun, you know you can't tell me right away. After you found the opportunity, didn't Lejun take the initiative to tell me about it? Stupid. Raku Sakakihara really wants to say something to Ruri about being a silly girl. Although it was said that Li Yulai had to calm down emotionally before telling her the truth, concealment was concealment, an indisputable fact. Now Li Yulai still has to find excuses for her behavior at that time. Sakakihara Raku can only say that she is too stupid. Feel sorry. Tianhaijuli Yulai's voice became lower again. Obviously tonight Lejun told me that I needed to find myself, but I ended up doing this again. It seems that Ruri has misunderstood. Sakakibara continued to whisper softly in her ear, the self does not necessarily mean the capable and confident Ruri. There is no need to be with her all the time. That kind of Li Yulai is consistent. Li Yulai is essentially a girl who needs love very much, and it does not conflict with this. On the contrary, Li Yulai, you need me and like my actions towards you. To me, it is a contrasting cuteness. It means that the self with self-confidence and the self without self-confidence can exist together. Right, that is it. Sakakibara kissed her forehead, which made Amamikuru-uri, who was already in his arms, look a little shy and sweet. I expect to see the charming Liuli on the world stage, but equally, I also expect to see a shy Liuli in my arms who wants to get what I like. There is no conflict. Lejun, you have the nerve to say it. Tianhaijuli Yuli raised her eyes in his arms, her eyes full of complaints and dissatisfaction. After I came back, I spent a lot of time with Kyo, and the time on February 46th was mine as promised. Ahem, Sakakibara Rakuki coughed twice, because you sometimes have to be busy with student union affairs. When I went to find you, you said you were busy with something. Can't I just go to the literature club to find Kyo? Really, Tianhaijuli Yuli's voice was as light as a mosquito. Is it something? Sakakibara asked. Tianhaijuli Yuli put her hands on his chest and left his embrace with a hint of questioning. Did Lejun secretly kiss Kyo behind my back? I smell it on you, Lejun, many times. The smell of July. That's true. Sakakibara hurriedly smiled and explained to Amamikuru-uri, who was above him, Kyo won't let me kiss casually. According to what she said, men like the new and dislike the old, and they won't love each other after being kissed too much. Even Chiu usually doesn't like the old. She doesn't even hold my hand, but when I try to hold her, she beats my hand away. From this angle, Sakakibara could see the lace at the collar of Liuli's pajamas through the moonlight, as well as the collarbone and ravine under her fair neck. I agree. Huh? Liuli, do you agree? Men do like the new and hate the old, otherwise you wouldn't like Kyo. Although Kyo and I look exactly the same. Now, in this face, does Lejun see more Kyo or more Liuli? This sentence is not easy to answer. Sakakibara thought carefully about her indescribably beautiful face and flaxen hair hanging from her shoulders. Luli, do you want to hear the truth or lies? Of course it's the truth. To be honest, it's half and half. I can see you as Kyo, and I can also see Kyo as you. You want to ask why? Because you two are so similar. When I look at your face, I will be there. The two of you are projected above. Do you like me or July? Like it all. Can't you like me more? Of course I can like you more, Liuli, now. I don't know why, but since I met Lejun, I have started to think that Lejun is more and more handsome. I still remember the way Lejun heard that I wanted to eat and brought a lot of things to me in the middle of the night. Look at that Lejun, he is still smiling while watching me eat. Why are you laughing? It is obviously something you made for me, Lejun. Sakakibara Raku was almost pushed down on his bed by her, and she looked at him from top to bottom, and felt a little embarrassed for no reason. That's not because you blushed shyly when I saw Liuli. A girl who is usually so cheerful and sunny would be shy in front of me, and I would also feel happy. Lejun, you've been busy making things for so long, aren't you tired? How can I put it this way? The process is definitely troublesome, but when I think about the things you eat and cook that make me happy, I am happy too. Chi-Chi is right, Lejun is a fool. This Liuli, don't listen to Chi-Chi, she doesn't understand anything. Fool. Unlike a Ling's naughty idiot, Tianhaijuli Yuli's idiot is gentle, including shyness and fondness. Thank you, Lejun. Why do you suddenly say thank you? Now, my mother's influence on me is getting smaller and smaller. If Lejun hadn't taken the trouble to say so many things to me again and again, I don't think I would be like this. I really like the one who can hold me and let me do whatever I want. Lejun, who cried, was also a little envious of Ling Zhang. She has been able to hide in your arms and enjoy your care for her since she was a child. Lejun, I'm serious. Lejun, I also want to be taken care of by you and supported by you. I want to stay at your place tonight. Amamikuri's pale red lips uttered a weak but clear voice. Her face and arms were almost on top of Sakakibara Raku, showing her delicate color. Sakakibara could feel the sweet scent of her youthful girl, and could see the white skin at the neckline of her pajamas that was usually completely invisible. She sat on Sakakibara's belly, with her hands on both sides of Sakakibara's ears. As her hair fell, not only her hair, but also the fragrant ravine under her neckline was close at hand. Regarding the overnight she was talking about, Raku Sakakihara already knew what it was. Liuli was shy when she said this and pursed her lips several times, as if she had made the most important decision in her life. On weekdays, I also secretly think about Lejun, because Lejun is not only really nice to people, but also very handsome. Her voice became softer and softer, and Sakakihara Raku inevitably became more and more nervous. That. Liuli. What you said about secretly thinking about me, is that what I think about secretly thinking about me? Speechless. Yes, Tianhaijuli Yuli didn't dare to look at him, but her face became very red. I don't have to ask more questions. Is this true? Tianhaijuli Yuli pursed her lips. No matter what, Lejun never comes to me. Sometimes I dream that Lejun comes to play with me, comes to me to play games, hugs me, and even realizes that I like Lejun very much. Take the initiative to kiss me. Many times I wake up from sleep alone and feel happy, but as soon as I find out that it is a dream, I always feel empty in my heart. Then I will close my eyes at this time and think about happiness in my heart. Junal Jun Lejun. At the same time, I am still sure in my heart, Li Jun, he must love me very much, right? He must love me very much, right? He must also need me very much, right? The more I think about it, the more I think about a Lejun who loves me very much and only loves me. He hugs me and gives me lots and lots of satisfaction and love. This satisfaction and love are getting more and more. More and more, more and more. Sakakihara suddenly felt speechless. The love she needed even made Sakakibara feel like a yandere. However, he finally knew the fact that Liuli needed love when she got up every morning. Lejun said so much to me and gave me so much support. Now I want to give something back to Lejun. The only thing I don't have is this, which Lejun probably likes. It seems that all boys will like it, so, can you keep me overnight? May I? Of course Sakakibara wanted to respond. He thought he had a strong sense of reason, but he couldn't bear the fact that his body was still in adolescence. Faced with the approach of a girl like Ruri, she sat on his belly and said these words to him. It is impossible not to feel anything. Liuli is also a person who regards the first time as very important. Since she chose to say that, that is to say, she has completely made the decision to entrust her life to herself. Entrusted to you for a lifetime. There is such a girl who is willing to entrust her life to herself. I must be extremely happy to be able to believe in her, trust her, and spend every day with her in this world. Apart from the spiritual world, do you want to live in the physical world? Think. Who wouldn't? But Sakakibara thought about the agreement with Kyo and the place where he and Kyo would go tomorrow. Of course, the reason he didn't agree immediately was because Liuli's demands were too straightforward, and he suddenly didn't know how to respond. Seeing that he didn't agree to her immediately, Tianhaijuli Yuli knew that he was probably being abrupt, so he asked again. Lejun, do you like to take the initiative? Do you want me to take off your clothes first? Well. Liuli, it's all about this. Sakakihara Raku really didn't know how to tell her this. She said this to herself with such determination to give herself the most important thing in her life. However, my sister had already cut off my beard. Will Liuli be sad again? But then I thought, if I didn't tell Liuli anything, would I be deceiving her again? We just agreed not to cheat on each other. So, when Sakakibara reached out to take off her night dress, Sakakibara held her wrist. That, Liuli. Sakakihara Raku was so embarrassed that he wanted to cough to cover up the embarrassing fact. Lejun. Tianhaijuli Yulai probably saw what he meant. He lowered his hand from the neckline of his nightgown and said in a somewhat lonely tone, Lejun, don't you think it's appropriate? It's okay. After all, this matter needs to be in a more formal occasion, it will be better. Sorry Lejun, I was abrupt. Seeing her like this, Sakakibara was very distressed. What would Liulai, a girl, think if such a thing was rejected? Not attractive yourself? Did you make him uninterested? Or do you mean that you don't like him much? After Liulai saw that she was rejected, she didn't even blame others, but blamed herself for the problem. This little inferiority complex in Ruri made Sakakibara feel even more sorry for her. Liulai probably feels that there is nothing worthy of his liking in her, right? Therefore, Sakakibara quickly explained to her and strongly denied what she just said. No. I definitely didn't mean it unwillingly. Nalejun. Of course I am very happy that Liulai said this to me, and I am also happy that you said these words to me. I never dared to think that any girl would be willing to dedicate her life to me. This is a luxury for me. And it's not that I don't want to have sex with you Liulai, after all, I'm still a boy. Sakakibara Raku said this seriously. It is precisely the seriousness that makes it look a little funny. Tianhaijulai was stunned, and realized that it was not the reason for her lack of charm. Her face turned red and she grabbed the collar of her pajamas with one hand. Then why does Lejun disagree? Well, okay, I didn't intend to hide it from you, because of the agreement with Kyo. The agreement with Kyo. Sakakihara explained, from the beginning, I told Kyo that I can only have half of my love for her. Kyo agreed, but also made a condition for me. Tianhaijuli Yulai sat on his stomach and probably guessed what the condition was. July. Want Lejun's first time. That's it? Excessive. Why did Lejun agree to this? Because I do owe a lot to Kyo, and this is her wish. I naturally agreed. Tianhaijuli Yulai couldn't bear it, but, what should I do if this happens? This silenced Sakakihara Raku again. Yes, Liulai. What should I do? Liulai also gave in on this matter. Shouldn't he make the same agreement to Liulai? Luli, can I say that this is a fact that all of us will have to face sooner or later? I know, but Chi-Chi is still too much. I have to go to Chi-Chi to get an explanation. Go now. Sakakihara was happy to see that she was about to get up, and quickly grabbed her wrist. Can't you? Everyone is sleeping now, and my mother and uncle are also here. Originally Liulai came to me today to ask for this, so I was worried that my uncle would hear something. When talking about this, Tianhaijuli Yulai became a little shy and calmer. What I was thinking was, I could suppress my voice or something. Why does it sound so sloppy? No, it's just sloppy. Sakakibara quickly grabbed her and said to her, that's it for today, I'll sleep with you. Tianhaijuli Yulai, then I will go to Kyo tomorrow to get an explanation. This is up to you. Also, when did Lejun and Kyo agree? There is no specific agreed time. Sakakihara Raku was silent for a while, secretly looking into Liulai's eyes, but what? Amamai Kuruori approached Sakakibara Raku with squinted eyes. But it's probably tomorrow afternoon. Why did Liulai's momentum change all of a sudden? She was a little girl just now, and now she looks like a girlfriend who caught an adulterer. Tomorrow afternoon. Well, Chi-Chi said he would take me somewhere. She agreed. She asked me to go, so she probably agreed. Tianhaijuli Yulai's brows were already furrowed. I'll go find Chi-Chi tomorrow to ask for an explanation. What can Raku Sakakibara say? He can only pray that there will be no more quarrels in Kiju tomorrow. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. About the fact that I unintentionally raised my sister to be a cripple. Author, Wo Buletin 11 Huan Tou Lan. Chapter 370. April 21st. The cloudy days that lasted for a week disappeared without a trace, replaced by sunny days with blue skies for several days. Summer is beginning to show its signs. So, what is summer? Temperature, weather, air. These may be all of these, but from the perspective of a high school student, summer is about buying ice-cold mineral water from the campus canteen when you are sweating profusely, playing with your mobile phone while hiding in the shade of a tree after physical education class, and holding the quilt under your belt. The stained collars, the English textbooks that were constantly being filled with wind, and the classmates lying down in a large area during the first period of the afternoon. Whenever summer comes, Raku Sakakihara feels that the classroom becomes especially quiet and lazy. Apart from the sound of the teacher lecturing on the podium, the only sound left was the oak leaves rustling in the wind outside the window. Imagism is a genre of modern British and American poetry that emerged on the eve of World War I. The founder was the British poet Hummer. Imagism has three principles, which require the direct expression of objective things and the deletion of all words that do not contribute to expression, replacing traditional rules with spoken rhythms. The emergence of Imagism was a resistance to the romanticism of the British and American poetry circles at that time. Listening to the teacher's explanation on the podium as if it were from another world, the gel pen in Sakakihara's hand left writing on the slightly white notebook, making a thin sound. Ta-da, da-da. Ta-da, da-da. Every time the history teacher's chalk left characters on the blackboard, Raku Sakakihara would raise his head. When he gets bored in class, Raku Sakakibara will take time to look at Tenkai Nanamajetsu, who is sitting next to him. She was wearing school uniform today, a Western-style jacket with a white shirt underneath and a red bow tied at the collar. Except for her wrists and neck, almost no skin is exposed on the upper body, but even if she sees her profile like this, the gold-rimmed glasses on the bridge of her nose, and her flaxen hair scattered behind, it still makes people feel, people's minds are swaying. Beautiful girl at the same table? Raku Sakakibara thought this, and raised his face with his hands to look at Nanami taking notes next door. Her sky-blue eyes reflected the book through her gold-rimmed glasses, and her slender fingers held a 0.3 mm white gel pen decorated with a small shark. With the clatter of chalk on the blackboard, Sakakihara Raku felt as if he could hear the sound of July writing in his notebook on this early summer afternoon. Quiet, pure, and beautiful. Sakakibara stared at her impeccably exquisite profile, and these words describing the beauty of the girl naturally came to mind. If you follow her slender waist and look down, you can still see her thighs under her pleated skirt and her feet wearing black leather shoes. Even though she was in the classroom, she seemed to have a unique fragrance of a girl. Amami Nanami stopped turning the pages of the book, and then moved her eyes as flat as the sea to the face of Raku Sakakibara next door. The peek was caught. Sakakihara smiled at her while lying on the table, then pretended that nothing happened and continued to listen to the teacher's lecture. Not long after he heard it, a small piece of crumpled paper flew to his desk from the right side. Note. Raku Sakakibara glanced at the small piece of paper in front of him, and then looked at Tenkai Nanamajetsu, who was looking over. Open. Tien Hikaiminyu gestured to herself with her eyes. Sakakibara opened the note and saw the Zhuangziu font that Chi-Chi had just written on it. Chi-Chi's handwriting has also been practiced, and it looks nice and neat. She seems to have controlled the spacing of each word. Do your legs look good? This is not nonsense. Of course it looks good. Raku Sakakihara replied honestly. It looks good, it's best to lift it up and let me see it. Sakakihara secretly wrote the sentence on the crumpled note again, and when the teacher turned around to write, he threw it back to Kyo. Later, Raku Sakakibara saw Nanami pick up the note, open it, and read his reply. Amami Nanamijetsu glanced at Sakakibara Raku again, and then, under his gaze, she stretched out her hand expressionlessly to lift her skirt up slowly. Half of her snow-white thighs could already be seen. Then she lowered it again halfway. Are you looking forward to it? The note was thrown back again. Definitely looking forward to it. The note was thrown back. Man. The note was thrown back into his hand again. Can you tell me how you feel in July? I wonder what July is thinking now. When Tianhai Kaimingyu saw this sentence, she paid special attention for a few seconds. I have a lot of thoughts and a lot of moods I have been dreaming recently, you know. Dream about something. I dreamed that when I was a child, I went back to look for you and found you, but you completely forgot about my existence to you. I was just an insignificant passerby, not worthy of your paying more attention to me. However, the reality is even crueler. I haven't even seen you in person after expecting for more than 10 years that you would still remember me. What I got was the fact that you really forgot about me. Sakakibara Raku saw the words written in July on the note, and it seemed that he could glimpse her inner emotions between the lines. After a long time this time, Tianhai Kaimingyu had been writing for a long time, and another note flew over. Do you know what I like about you? I like how stupid you are, and how you shamelessly stick to me and show concern for me. In fact, over the past 10 years, I have learned to get along with loneliness because of my character, because of my identity, and because I don't like to participate in group things. I have always stayed in the literature department and read books. Everyone respects me and stays away from me, but at the same time they are afraid to communicate with me naturally. There are rumors about me. Quite a few. I don't care about these things, but when someone is willing to care about these things for me, looking at his back, I feel something in my heart. I know you have always wondered why I cared so much about things when I was a child. I can only answer that when I was a child, I only had the hope you gave me. I remember the fried rice and food you made for me when I was a child, that bag of potato chips in the refrigerator. I remember how carefully you treated my wounds and applied plasters. I also remember how you washed my hair, told me some interesting detective stories, took me out to visit the whole village, and met some people I had never seen before. I have seen insects and sea fish. In a world with you, I spent the entire rainy season. In the world with you, I spent the entire rainy season. As he muttered the handwriting in the note, Sakakibara couldn't help but laugh. These words, which seemed like letters, could only be written by a girl like Chi-Chi with a literary and artistic flair, right? In the world with you, I spent the entire rainy season. No matter how you look at this sentence, Sakakibara Raku can only see the word like in it. It's obviously not that straightforward, it's obviously very obscure, but Sakakibara Raku can see Kyo's love for him in it. This is the beginning of her liking for herself, the foundation of her liking for herself. This is also the real reason why she is willing to surrender her sincerity to herself. Sakakibara suddenly wanted to say that she was an idiot. Really are. Is there anyone as stupid as July in this world? At this time, Raku Sakakibara looked at Amami Nanamijetsu, who was sitting at the next table and wearing a Western-style school uniform. What he saw at this moment was not only her beauty in appearance. What was beautiful was the words she expressed to him and the mood she expressed. Sakakibara silently put the note away and stuck it in the book. Do you understand why I agreed to agree with you? Understood, completely understood. Kyo's promise to herself was not out of family pressure, nor out of a competitive spirit that wanted to be one step ahead of her sister. July's agreement to what she asked for was a heart-to-heart talk, a sign of mutual trust, and a sign that she had entrusted her life to herself. This is a more advanced thing. If asked what it is, Sakakibara Raku can only answer, maybe this is love. I completely understand your mood in July, but there is one thing I have to tell you. What? Luli will ask us to go out for dinner together later. Tianhai Kaimingyu saw this small note and subconsciously looked to the right, Tianhai Julie Yulai, who was first in the third row. The two sisters looked at each other, and Tianhai Julie Yulai smiled. Asterisk. The time is Friday. 3:12 p.m. Sakakibara Raku, Amamai Kururi, and Amamai Nanamajetsu were at a family restaurant near the school. In front of me is the freshly ordered coffee. Sisters Julie Yulai and Chi Minjio sat on each side and looked at each other. And Sakaki Hararaku was sandwiched between the two. This scene seems a bit familiar. In the silence, Tianhai Julie Yulai spoke first. She smiled and said, I only found out last night that Kyo and Lejun had an agreement. Last night, Nanamai caught a clue and looked at Sakaki Bararaku. Sister, did sister go to brother's room last night? Sakakibara was happy to see Chi-Chi's eyes coming over with a cold look, so he could only say, that's it? Tianhai Julie Yulai kept smiling, looking sunny and beautiful. I also know what you are going to do today. Kyo is really too much. Just after we reconciled, we have to leave my sister behind again. Sorry, sister, Tianhai Chi Minjio said very seriously. About this matter, the fundamental reason is that there is no way to tell you, sister. Why? Are you shy? That's right, and if my sister knew about this agreement, the agreement would definitely come to nothing, just like the current situation. Tianhai Julie Yulai doesn't want to quarrel with her sister. All she needs is an explanation. I don't blame you in Kyo. After all, if I succeeded last night, you would be unhappy in Kyo now, right? Great, Raku Sakakibara felt like he was in the train problem again. The disadvantage of dating two girlfriends is that whoever thinks about you first will cause dissatisfaction with the other person. This is the current situation of Kyo and Li Yulai. Tianhai Julie Yulai, if I find out, will you still decide to continue in Kyo? Tianhai Kaimingyu closed her eyes and frowned. Why not? I have prepared a lot of things for today. Everything is ready, and the agreement was made in advance, so naturally we should continue. Tianhai Julie Yulai, but if Kyo continues, I will follow you. Although I don't want to compete with you in Kyo now, this matter is different. Tianhai Kaimingyu opened her eyes again. Sister, do you want to be the first one? Before you ask me this question in July, I first have to ask, do you want to be the first one in July? Yes, Tianhai Chi Minjio admitted frankly. Then me too, Tianhai Julie Yulai then nodded. Before taking 2 sips of the coffee, Sakakibara noticed some sparks again. What to do? The relationship between the two sisters has just improved a little, but they are going to start fighting again. Although this was something that neither of them wanted to give into, quarreling really meant nothing to them. Therefore, Sakaki Hararaku quickly smoothed things over, coughing twice to signal the two of them to look towards him. Ahem, okay, although I know that I have no room to interrupt, and it's not good for me to speak for anyone. Anyway, you all admit that you are my girlfriend now, so why not just let's go together? No. Sakakibara saw the two twin girls looking at him at the same time. Tianhai Kaimingyu immediately gave someone a roll of his eyes. Why is it that you are enjoying all the beautiful things, but you need me and my sister to make concessions for you again and again? Can we do this together? Tianhai Julie Yulai was also a little dissatisfied. How come Lejun always thinks about messy things recently? It's not that I have random thoughts, Raku Sakakihara said while drinking coffee slowly, but if you want to fight for this thing, you must always fight for priority. If there is a fight, there will be a fight. If you fight for it at the end, it will hurt the harmony. Look at you. Weren't the two sisters happily shopping and eating together in the mall yesterday? Sakakibara knows that Kiju has reconciled now, but they must still have some grudges in their hearts. Otherwise, why is Chi-Chi always jealous? July should be the July that says, my lips taste better than my sister's, right? The problem is obvious, the relationship between Kiju and Kiju has not been repaired and perfected. Sakakibara Raku asked Tenkai Nanamajetsu. Kyo said that he was prepared for today. And he didn't intend to give up the time agreed today. Yes, Tianhai Kaiminyu nodded. Sakakibara asked again towards Amamiku Ruri, is Ruri definitely coming with you? Definitely, until Kyo can give me a satisfactory answer. Tianhai Yuli also nodded, and if Lejun fulfills his agreement with Kyo, what should I do? Understood, Raku Sakakibara asked Amami Nanamajetsu, what was the original plan for today in July? Let's go shopping first, and then I'll take you to the place we want to go together. Sakakibara Raku, just go on a date first, right? Yes. In that case, how about we go on a date with the three of us as we said before? Didn't you all agree before? This sentence silenced both of them. Sakakibara was pleased to see that the two didn't reply immediately and didn't say much. He got up and asked Kyo to sit here and drink a cup of coffee. He took Liuli alone to the street behind the family restaurant and talked in a dark alley with no people. If she still looked like a sister in front of Kyo, Amamikururi was a little restrained and shy in front of Sakakibara Raku at this time. Lejun. What do you want to say? Sakakihara smiled handsomely. Ruri understands what I mean, right? Tianhai Yuli was pushed against the wall by him, and turned his face shyly. I know, of course I know that I shouldn't fight with Kyo, but when it comes to Lejun, I still think about it. One thing. Lejun is also my boyfriend. You should think more about me. Does Liuli like me? Even now, will Lejun still ask this question? Lejun is someone I trust and someone who supports me. I will go and start playing the piano again this morning, in order to be able to appear with Lejun one day. On the same stage. That means I'm important, right? Certainly. Want a kiss? Huh, Tianhai Yuli didn't react and stared at him in a daze. Wait a minute. Sakakihara Raku didn't wait for her to be in a daze and kissed her lips directly. Because this was not the first time they kissed, Sakakihara Raku already knew some skills. Kissing is more like a nibble than a kiss. At first, Liuli was a little resistant, but as time went on, the heat and consciousness connected, and she quickly adapted. When Amamikururi's ears turned red, Sakakibara finally kissed her on the forehead. Luli, do you still remember when I confessed my love to you? Remember, Tianhai Yuli was half in front of him, raising her eyes to look at him. Lejun said 1,000 words of confession to me. He was very serious. Does Liuli think I like you? I must like it. I understand Liuli that you want to monopolize my feelings. This is a matter of course. But now that I like Kyo, it doesn't mean that I don't like you anymore. You are twin sisters. I will see you in each other. Shadows of each other. What Lejun said is too much. Well, that's too much. So in order to make it up to Liuli, I will do whatever you want in the future for you. You can call me when you are tired, you can call me when you are sleepy, you can call me when you are hungry, and you can call me when you are sad. Call me. If you need a gift, you can call me. If you need support, you can call me. I know that I owe you too, so even if you point a knife at my heart and stab it, I will not do anything to you. Complain. When Tianhai Yuli heard what he said, the first thing that came to his mind was what had he done for Lejun. It seems that apart from helping him, knitting a warm glove for him, tidying up his clothes, etc., there is nothing else, right? In July, I did more than myself. Moreover, Lejun had unconditionally forgiven himself before, comforted himself, and helped him fight against his mother. I haven't even done anything grateful to him. Amamikururi suddenly felt that she had asked for too much from Sakakibara Raku, too much to repay. And wasn't it also because of this that he agreed to admit his identity as Chiyu's girlfriend? Since everyone agreed to Kyo's identity, as myself and as my sister, I should be more tolerant to Kyo. Lejun, don't say that. On the contrary, I have always been sorry for Lejun, blindly asking for too many things from Lejun, and still asking for so much. Sakakihara touched her somewhat disappointed cheek and said with a smile, "Didn't I tell you Yulai? Don't think so." Tianhaijuli Yulai lowered his head and shook his head. "It's not that I'm belittling myself, but the fact is that I'm thinking, can I be more generous in the past? Is my relationship with Kyo also better?" Sakakihara continued to comfort her and said, "Isn't it normal to be jealous? I don't like to see you talking to other men." Real. Of course, who likes his beautiful wife to interact too much with other men? And there are many people who have their eyes on your body. Tianhaijuli Yulai admitted that she was very happy to be praised by him for her beauty. At the same time, her heart was inexplicably stirred by his strange name. "Who is your wife really? I didn't agree to marry you." Seeing her expression and movements, Sakakihara Raku found a little joy in teasing girls, and continued, "Then if Ruri can marry me, will you? I definitely want this. Then it won't end." "This is not possible." Tianhaijuli Yulai hugged his arm directly. When the girl came back to her senses, she realized that her mood had completely changed in just a few words. She didn't even know what was going on, so she quickly let go of his arm and shyly brushed her hair around her ears, revealing her blushing cheeks. She thought about it seriously and realized that this was love, right? Because the other party praised herself and said she was his wife, she felt extremely happy. Amamai was in a much better mood, and she said directly to Sakakibara Raku, "Although I don't understand why I want to agree for no reason. But it doesn't matter if I think about it from another perspective. If I give in to Kyo, it will make me more like a sister." Luli agreed. "Agreed. Then the three of us will be together today." Tianhaijuli Yulai blushed and punched him in the chest. "What are you thinking about? I said we can go shopping together. What happens next? Chi-Chi has no intention of giving up. I don't agree with your weird idea, Lejun, and neither will Kyo. But I don't care what you want to do, I will follow you today anyway. Luli, if you think about it carefully, if you and Chi-Chi are together, wouldn't I be fair to both of you?" Tianhaijulai's ears turned red, and she hit his chest even harder. "How can this be the case? Both I and Kyo have the idea of entrusting them with their whole lives. You are not allowed to look at it like this. How can I take it for granted? I accept your request with a very sincere heart." "Hate." Luli said again today that she won't leave. "Do you really not think about it? I will love you more, Luli. Even if this is the case. It's not allowed. Really not possible. No. About the fact that I unintentionally raised my sister to be a cripple." Author, Wo Buletin 11 Huan Tiu Lan. Chapter 371. Sister agrees. That's right. In the family restaurant, Amamai Nanamajetsu was drinking coffee and met Sakakibara Raku, who had returned with Amamai Kururi. When Sakakibara told her that her sister had agreed, Amamai Nanamayu couldn't help but take a closer look at Amamai Kururi. "Although the relationship between myself and my sister is repairing bit by bit. But both he and his sister knew that it would take some time for each other to return to the past. Therefore, it only took Sakakihara Raku 6 or 7 minutes to convince Ruri that his ability to act was something Amamai Nanamajetsu did not expect." "You have a sister? How did Kyo know?" "You can tell it from the blushing look on my sister's face." Tianhai Chi Minjiu drank coffee calmly, her tone was smooth, her sky blue eyes looked into her sister's sky blue eyes. Tianhaijuli Yulai didn't show any weakness in the glare, and didn't move his eyes at all. Sakakihara Raku, as the third person besides the two, even saw the message of Ruri's reply to Kyo. My boyfriend and I kiss, as we should. Tianhai Julie Yulai looked at her sister and thought so. Tianhai Kaimingyu did not deny the legitimacy of this reason, but when she learned that a certain guy knew that he was going on a date with her today and took the initiative to kiss other women, her forehead inevitably tightened. She wrote this down for the time being and said, "However, my sister agreed to the conditions, which means that she actively chose to give in. My sister has chosen to take a step back, so why don't I take a step back?" "Right, sister." Noticing the eyes his sister was looking at him, Tianhai Julie Yulai smiled. "Of course, I'm very happy to think so in July." "Sister, are you not planning to leave today?" "Yes, I don't plan to leave. No matter what you and Lejun do, as your girlfriend, I have the right to watch you." Tianhai Kaimingyu's face did not change, but she became very interested in her sister's request to follow her. She concealed this interest and continued to say in a calm tone, "Then I want to give you a friendly reminder, when the time comes. My sister may feel very uncomfortable when she sees something." Tianhai Julie Yulai shook his head, folded his hands in front of his legs like a lady, closed his eyes and said, "No, Chi-Chi, when I promised Lejun just now, I already understood what you are going to do, and I am mentally prepared." Sister is really tough. This is not a hard talk. In July, sister is mentally prepared in advance. Raku Sakakibara interrupted the conversation between the two sisters and asked Nanamai, "So, Nanamai also agrees?" Reluctantly. "Well, since we all agree, let's go without further delay. Let's set off now. By the way, where are you taking me to in July?" Nanamai flipped the hair beside her ear, and with a cold face, or perhaps a little dissatisfaction, she replied to Raku Sakakibara. "Suburban. Asterisk. The suburbs mentioned in July are also included in the Tokyo area. The place is called Musashi Murayama. It is a small satellite town located in the northern part of the Tama area of Tokyo. It covers an area of 15.37 square kilometers and is about a 30-minute drive from the center of Tokyo. This place has mountains and lakes, and the entire mountain is lush and green all year round. It is a good place for vacation, but it is a pity that it is not very popular on weekdays. Sakakibara Raku has never been to that place, so he doesn't know what she will do there. Li Yulai, do you know anything? I know that Grandpa has a holiday estate there and grows a large number of sunflowers. Sunflowers, Raku Sakakibara looked at the 7 bright moons of the sky. Isn't that thing open only in July and August? It's not even until May. The 7 bright moons in the sky waved their hands. Okay, don't make wild guesses here, won't you know when you go there? There is no need to take a car, Tianhai Kaimingyu directly said, to ride a motorcycle there. This is what Sakakihara Raku wants. When I got home, I unloaded the Honda 400 CBR I bought before from the garage, took the necessary driver's license and helmet, and rode her Kawasaki 400 in Tianhai Julie Yulai, and Tianhai Kaimingyu sat on my sister's tail seat. After going up, Sakakihara asked her again. The date you mentioned in July is over there. Otherwise, why would I ask you to go over there? Tianhai Kaimingyu replied to him from his sister's back seat. I've never been to that place. Sakakihara went to see her. Wouldn't it be enough to go there now? Okay, you have the final say. Why don't you sit in my tail seat? Amamai Nanamajetsu hugged Amamai Kuruori's lower back, rested her head on her sister's back and said calmly to Sakakibara Raku, who was in the car next door. Now I am my sister's person. Didn't you argue with your sister just now? It was just now, and now is now. Since my sister has taken a step back, there is no need for me to be so stern with my sister. Nothing to say. Asterisk. The 3 of them first rode to a gas station to refuel their motorcycles before driving onto the Tokyo Outer Ring Expressway. Continue driving on the Tokyo Outer Ring Expressway, passing through Tama and Hino. Then passing through a wheat field and suburban roads, it took about 32 minutes to reach the destination. Sakakihara turned off the ignition valve of the motorcycle and saw the extremely majestic Western-style manor in front of him. The estate is located in the upper reaches of the land, built along the forest and terrain. There is a large lake backed by a mountain next to the door. It can be said that if you stand at the gate of the manor and turn your head to the left, you can see a bright lake. On the opposite side of the lake are lawns, and beyond are woods. You can even see the Fuji mountains under the clouds in the distance. When Sakakibara came here for the first time, he felt like it was a resort. He also discovered that the building inside was built of white stone. The carvings on the main building basically adopted a symmetrical design, even the stone pillars at the door. Based on Sakakibara's simple knowledge, he probably knew that this was a French-style manor. This is indeed in line with the characteristics of a French manor, far away from the hustle and bustle of the city. The surrounding environment is beautiful, lined with trees, and the buildings are integrated with the natural environment such as gardens, lakes, and meadows. What stands out is style, openness, and naturalness. Why is Grandpa building a manor here? Is it just for vacation? Tianhaijuli Yulai took off his helmet on the motorcycle, and his long flaxen hair stretched down his shoulders. She looked at the closed door of the manor in front of her and replied, "This is Grandma's hometown. I remember that Grandpa built this place for Grandma." Sakakibara was stunned. The old man built a French-style manor for Grandma alone. "Yes, Grandpa is actually quite romantic," Tianhaijuli Yulai replied while looking at the Western-style main building in the manor. "I just listened to my dad chatting, and Grandma also said that Grandpa was a waste. Grandpa and Grandma seem to have only been to this manor once. What happened next? Why didn't you come?" Tianhai Kaimingyu got out of the car from the back seat of Tianhaijuli Yulai. She clapped her hands while wearing a helmet and said, "After Grandpa and Grandma came here once, Grandma became pregnant with Zhigzhu." Sakakihara Raku probably guessed what happened next. These are probably the reasons why Grandpa and Grandma only came once. "How do you know this in July?" "Dad told me and my sister." "Why, it seems like you are gossiping about Zhigzhu." "No, I'm just curious." "So after I became pregnant with Zhigzhu, this place became deserted?" "Not really." Tianhai Chi did not take off her helmet. She walked to the iron fence and looked into the manor and said, "Grandpa still misses this manor, so he sends people to take care of it regularly. Now this manor actually belongs to Yuki, so now I have the key." Tianhai Kaimingyu said, taking out a bunch of keys from his pocket and shaking them at the two of them. "I borrowed this key from Zhigzhu." Tianhaijuli Yulai asked her, "The date you mentioned in Kyo is in the manor?" "Of course not. This is the last place we will come again. We are just passing by now. Now we go to the city." No wonder she didn't even take off her helmet in July. The relationship was just passing by. Arrive at the urban area of Musashi Murayama City. This place is no different from an ordinary city, with all the necessary facilities and commercial centers. Sakakihara Raku has no objection to dating. On the contrary, he was very happy to be able to walk shopping together in peace and harmony with his two sisters. But today's shopping was a bit beyond his expectation. For example, when going to the mall, Sakakihara Raku never thought that he would be left behind by the two sisters to carry things. He watched them choose clothes for each other. "This dress looks good. Sister, do you want to try it on?" "Eh? This one? It looks like work clothes. It's straight and looks like something only men would wear. Don't you think, sister, girls would look very handsome wearing boys' clothes? Moreover, these clothes are very loose and have a casual feel. I think it's okay. What about the old rules? Remember it in July. Remember, You have to buy 2 sets of clothes, right? Tianhaijuli Yulai laughed and kept nodding. That's it? The 2 sisters had a great time choosing, and they didn't forget to choose a set for Sakakibara Raku together. Sakakibara Raku was used to going shopping with his younger sister and adopted sister anyway, so he had no complaints. Even when they buy things, they always choose big brands. A simple t-shirt costs hundreds of thousands of yen. Sakakihara reached out and touched it, but he didn't see any difference between it and the 1,500 yen street stall t-shirt in his closet. Wait, who pays? Money. Tianhaichi Minjia picked up a shirt and covered her face, leaving only a pair of bright eyes. She blinked and said, as if taunting, "Brother will not tell me and sister that you can't afford to buy from us. Is that the cost of clothes? How can a man support a woman if he doesn't have money?" This mocking and naughty tone. Sakakihara suddenly felt so in love, and July was back. I pay. Halfway through, July suddenly needed to go to the toilet. Midway through, Kyo suddenly ran out of paper again and asked Sakakihara Raku to send it to her. "You can't call me sister without paper?" Sakakibara knew that Chi-Chi was calling him to go out and talk alone, so he directly told Amamai Kuruori about it. Tianhaijuli Yulai was carrying the clothes she had chosen, and he guessed most likely what her sister was thinking. Chi-Chi must be jealous. "I think so too." Sakakihara nodded in agreement. "Then go ahead, Lejun. You agree? You won't be unhappy." Tianhaijuli Yulai continued to choose clothes for her sister. "I will definitely still care if I care, but didn't I tell Lejun before? My sister must also be a little tolerant." When Li Yulai said this, her face was as calm as the lake she just saw. But before that Tianhaijuli Yulai hesitated, as if he was looking around to see if anyone was coming to see this place. "Before that, what? Kiss me. I'll make a mark first. It's weird, but it's nothing to refuse, and there's nothing wrong with kissing your girlfriend on the lips. There's surveillance here, come to the locker room." A few minutes later, Sakakibara realized why he had to go to the locker room. This wasn't just a kiss, it was clearly a kiss that was enough. Now when Sakakibara touched his mouth, he could feel that it was filled with the taste of glazed red apples. "Okay, Lejun, go find Kyo, don't let her wait." Tianhaijuli Yulai helped him adjust his collar, licking her moist lips and smiling at him. "It's not Chi-Chi who's jealous. It's Luli who's jealous. It's just that the 2 sisters didn't say it openly, they just had a little secret rivalry." Sakakihara took out his mobile phone and found the chat interface of Little Shark's avatar. "I'm here, where are you?" "July, why did it take so long to come back?" "Luli just told me something." "Okay, outside the store we were in just now, if you go to the left, there is a public restroom." Sakakihara followed what she said, looked around, and soon saw a sign for a restroom. He walked over and came to the door of the restroom. "I'm at the door delivering paper. How do you want me to deliver it?" "You come right in." "Grandma July, this is the women's room. There's no one inside, and it's not like you've never been to the women's room before." "That's not okay. It's a matter of principle. Now that I'm a male, I can't enter the women's restroom." "Then you wait, I'll come out." "Didn't someone bring any paper?" However, Sakakihara Raku already knew that Kyo asked him to deliver the paper just to whisper something alone, so he just smiled. After Nanami Naname came out of the toilet neatly, he pulled Raku Sakakibara into a dark corner. This is a safe passage to the underground parking station, and no one usually walks here. Compared to Liulai's hesitation, Kyo was more decisive. "Why do you say that?" "Because when Sakakihara Raku was dragged to the corner by her, she pushed her against the wall. You and your sister kissed just now outside the family restaurant." Amamai Nanami stared at Raku Sakakibara from bottom to top. "Yes. It's quite honest. You can see that I have to be honest even if I'm dishonest. You take the initiative, or does sister take the initiative? I take the initiative. Why? Comfort Liuli, she lacks love and support, I have to satisfy her. Then do you know who you are going out with today? And July. It's good to know. So now you understand what you should do. Dot. I still don't understand that I want to kiss her. I just kissed Ruri, Sakakihara reminded him. Just kissed? That's better. After Tian Haikaiminyu said this, she took his arms with both hands, stood on tiptoes, and put her lips on him. Sakakihara Raku didn't want to be like this. How could he kiss Kyo right after he kissed Liuli? But July doesn't seem to care about this. Chi-Chi didn't care, and Sakakibara Raku didn't even care. In the soft and cotton lips sent by the girl, Sakakihara Raku tasted the slightest sweetness. Compared to Liuli, Kyo was more proactive. He touched her once and she bit back 3 times. Unconsciously, he held her slender waist in his arms and kissed her heartily. Opening his eyes, Tian Haikaiminyu Sanwu's face reappeared in front of him. More comfortable than my sister. Dot. To be honest, I want the truth. Indeed. Tian Haikaiminyu could not see happiness on her face, although I don't mind recognizing my sister's identity now. In some places, I need some privileges. There's no need for jealousy between sisters. A certain scumbag has no right to say this. What privileges do you want in July? I want you to think of me when you kiss your sister. This is not okay. This is not fair to Liuli. It seems that you still have some ideas in mind, but what about you? It's not necessarily true whether you think so in your heart when you say this. The iceberg beauty said the little devil's words in such a serious manner. Sakakihara thought of the scene when he and she had just kissed, and felt as if he was being played wantonly between her palms. This is not okay. July. How? Now Tian Haikaiminyu didn't even react, so he pushed her against the wall, followed by a long kiss. Tian Haikaiminyu first surprised Xiaosu, then adapted, and then took the initiative in the opposite direction. Stand on tiptoes, clench your arms, breathe and turn your head. Sakakihara Raku couldn't bear it first and pushed her away. It looks like someone is still not good enough. Before she finished speaking, Tian Haikaiminyu kissed her again. Danti. Puff, pew, pew. In the quiet corridor, the only sound left was the sound of kissing. Reluctantly separated, Sakakibara was a little short of breath. I really don't know where she learned how to feel completely out of breath when kissing. He has the ability to cooperate well with Kyo. After all, kissing a beautiful girl like Kyo, who is loved by all men, has always been a dream. But, if you can't stand it, you just can't stand it. Sometimes eating too much food can burst your stomach. Same thing as a succubus. Don't kiss me. It was my fault in July. I was wrong. I shouldn't have teased you. That's not okay. Is it wrong to say it's wrong? You smell like sister all over this place. I have to dig out all these things. Dot. Puff, pew, pew. Too much suffering. About the fact that I unintentionally raised my sister to be a cripple. Author, Wo Buletin 11 Huan Tou Lan. Chapter 372. Chi-Chi pushed her to the wall and kissed her hard. In a sense, this is a shame. But after thinking about it, this is actually half of the enjoyment. Enjoy her liking for herself and her possessive mentality towards herself. Being forcibly kissed by a rich girl, can this be considered a shame? Thinking about it this way, my mood eased a lot. It's just a little weird. Raku Sakakibara touched the lips that were kissed just now, and watched Chi and Hainan Mingzuki rearrange her school uniform neatly. What's weird? I was kissing Liuli just now, and now I'm kissing Kyo. Isn't it strange? I don't care, so what do you care about? But the fact that you feel this way shows that you still have some conscience. Tian Hai Chi Minjia waved her hands indifferently and said, she looked quite casual, are you talking to your sister? When you are happy, do you also think of me? Indeed so. You have a conscience. Sakakibara hurriedly squeezed her little hand, held it affectionately and smiled at her. So, Kyo, can you be less jealous? I will feel very bad when I see you jealous. If you feel sorry for me, just think of me when you kiss your sister. This is not okay. Li Yulai will be sad if she knows it. But I'll be happy. Kyo, Li Yulai also needs your care. How about giving your sister a little bit of my love to her? Tian Hai Kaimingyu frowned and pinched his waist. Now someone can say this to me frankly, right? I'll bully you all you want, I just hope you'll be less jealous in Kyo. July Sakakibara smiled and reached out to hold her slender waist. I really like you. Sakakibara was pleased to see that she did not resist his embrace of the waist, so he pinched the flesh on her waist again. To be honest, Chi-Chi's waist is very soft and slender even through her school uniform. Of course, this action was met with a blank look from Tian Hai Kaimingyu. I really like him, but he is also a scumbag. Sakakihara Liquan pretended not to see her expression. July. 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 Sakakibara put his hands around her waist and held her in front of him. Tian Hai Kaimingyu really couldn't stand him shouting like this in front of her. She turned her face away and sighed, okay, I won't be jealous today. Really, if you want to act like a baby, go to your aunt to act like a baby. Come to me every day to beg for something West. Don't I love you in Kyo? You see, I don't even act coquettishly towards Li Yulai, but I do this to you. Tian Hai Kaimingyu didn't know what was wrong with him. She has never been interested in such ordinary sweet words. But there is such a person that I like acting like a child in front of me, so I want to agree. She quite liked it, but she couldn't stand it. Come on, Chi-Chi, let's kiss again. Okay, be a little more serious. Tian Hai Kaimingyu pushed his face away. I just asked you to kiss me a little longer but you didn't kiss me, and now you want it again. That's different. Just now you were forced to kiss me, but now it's because I love you very much and want to kiss you. Forget it, I'll kiss you on the face, but I won't kiss you on the mouth yet. Good. Sakakihara Raku was passionately kissing Kyo's delicate profile. Sakakihara Raku could only describe the feeling of holding his beautiful girlfriend in his arms and kissing her casually like this with two words, pleasure. Chi-Chi didn't blush after being kissed like this. She was obviously very happy but still didn't blush. Such a contrast, such a cold face was really fragrant and sweet to kiss. How to describe this feeling of full happiness? Anyway, Sakakihara Raku feels that as long as there is a quilt, a bed, and the like, he can grab Kyo and hide under the quilt, catch her face and rub her all day long. He casually hugged her around the waist, kissed her on the cheek casually, said things to complain about or act coquettishly towards her. Sakakihara suddenly wanted to hide in her arms for the rest of his life, with her rubbing his head and not getting out. July, let me rub you again. Okay, don't get tired of me. Tian Hai Kaimingyu was infected by his silly intimacy anyway. This was nothing. On the contrary, it showed that he was able to experience happiness in himself and it was an expression of loving himself. Did you buy a set? I bought it. I went to buy it last night. By the way, do you really want to do it? You do not want. Think. Men are so honest. Do you want me to call my sister together later? Also want. Tian Hai Kaimingyu gave him a roll of eyes again. Stop hugging my waist and be more serious. Okay, Sakakibara became serious and hugged her arms. Speaking of July, what surprise did you prepare for me in that manner? Tian Hai Kaimingyu said helplessly, originally, those things were intended for myself, but since my sister is here, naturally she also has a share. What is it? Surprise. Just to whet my appetite, right? In the end, you, a scumbag, haven't been able to enjoy it? How are you going to compensate me? I will spend my whole life making it up to you. A lifetime? Isn't it an honor for you to become a family member with me? Tian Haikaimingyu's tone was condescending, as if being in contact with her was a supreme honor. July, isn't it an honor for you girls to become a family member with a beautiful boy like me? Ah! Do you think there is any man in this world who will take care of you without complaint and make you happy? I admit that you are barely handsome, at least in my eyes you are passable. But there are many gentle people. Who in school doesn't compliment me on how handsome I am? Why did you treat me like an ordinary person in July? Sakaki Hararaku is quite confident. As for the gentleness you mentioned, those guys are just gentle-tongued guys. If you really let them cook every day, handle housework every day, provide support for other people's dreams, and be willing to learn other people's hobbies, you can see these things. How many of you can persevere? My kindness to you comes from the heart and is reflected in my actions, rather than just giving you one or two gentle words and it's all over. In my eyes, there is no difference between handsome and ordinary. The ugliness inside cannot be covered up by a skin, not to mention that in modern times, there is such a thing as makeup. Tian Haikaiminyu can deny his appearance, but cannot deny his goodness. Where can I find such a stupid husband? A person like him has outstanding appearance, gentle personality, good academic performance, and occasionally plays a little clever to make people happy. Even though Tian Haikaiminyu doesn't often have contact with the outside world, he still understands that guys like him are a hot commodity among girls. As long as he can flirt with girls a little bit, won't those girls fall easily? Especially those whose families are in difficulty and lack love. No one can escape his attention. July Sakakibara drawled the tone in her ear. What are you doing? Do you want to act like a spoiled child to your mother again? Tian Haikaiminyu glanced at him. What? Raku Sakakihara stood up straight again, put his arm around the girl's waist, and walked together to the mall. On the way back to the clothing store, I just saw you in a daze and called you. Besides, in July, you stay with me like this, are you satisfied? Want to hear the truth or lies? Lie. Not satisfied, I want more. So the truth is satisfaction. I'm not going to answer what the other one is. Do you still need to answer this? Sakakibara turned his head away. For the first time, he saw July holding his arms and leaning on his shoulders while walking with his eyes closed. The answer is written on his face. Why is July so good to me? I also want to hear your explanation of like. Tian Haikaiminyu no longer leaned on his shoulder, but stood and walked with him. After thinking about it, she said, although I will still be jealous of my sister, at least I am asking you out now, and I want to be with you. Just talk, you don't have to spend so much thought anymore. It's considered satisfactory. If you ask me out, if you want to talk to me, you don't have to spend so much time. These words instantly brought Raku Sakakibara back to the snowy days of Ehime Prefecture. That day in July, I braved the heavy snow, wearing a beige windbreaker and a white towel to find myself. Her long flaxen hair was covered with white snow, and her face and hands were red from the cold. At that time, she was rejected by herself again and again. It was obvious that she had traveled thousands of miles to come here to find him because she liked him. It was such a simple fact, but she still used countless words to cover up her true intentions. Because she couldn't express her sincerity, she would be rejected by herself every time she expressed it. Thinking of July in the snowy day, both of us were as cold as ice. I feel sorry for July. A few more seconds. This heartache made Sakakibara hold her hand a little harder. Tian Haikaiminyu noticed the strength of his palm, and when she raised her head, She also noticed his expression. You know you feel sorry for me now. I didn't understand before, but I know now. Don't worry, Kyo, I really love you. These words are not convincing in the mouth of a scumbag, but since you are the one telling me, I choose to believe it. July you. Sakakihara's throat rolled for a long time, and finally she could only see the word love on her calm and accepting face. The more you say this in Kyo, the more I feel ashamed of you. Then kiss me later, don't kiss my sister. Anyway, today is your time in July, and I belong to you. I love hearing this. Asterisk. The clothing store is not far from the public restroom. But Tianhaijuli Yuli packed up the clothes he had selected and waited in the store for more than 10 minutes before waiting the two of them back. As soon as she saw the two people standing in front of them arm in arm, the girl understood what had just happened between them. No wonder my lips always felt itchy just now. Tianhaijuli Yuli understood it and saw through it without saying anything, he just smiled. I've bought my stuff, let's go to the next store. On the way to the next store, Amamikurayuri sent Sakakibara Raku to the back because she wanted to talk to Kyo who was walking in front. July. Tianhaijuli Yuli hugged his sister's arm and smiled at her. Tianhaikaiminyu knew that her sister had noticed it just now, so she deliberately gave her sister a slight smile on her lips and said with a chuckle. Sister is jealous. That's not the case. Same face, same body, same height, same school uniform. The two twin girls, who were exactly the same, were walking hand in hand. Tianhaikaiminyu deliberately hugged Tianhaijuli Yuli's arm and blew the wind in her ear. Sister said something back, she's obviously jealous. In July, didn't sister say that? Sister is very generous today. How generous is your sister? Tianhaikaiminyu became interested. While maintaining her facial expression, she put her mouth to Julie Yuli's ear. How generous is your sister? You're so generous that I secretly kissed your boyfriend for more than 10 minutes. Not angry. Not angry. Real. One not angry at all. My sister's Lejun said, July is more comfortable after being kissed by me. Isn't my sister angry? With a stiff smile, Amamikururi turned his head to Sakakihara Raku's face behind him. Gong fire, July is definitely gong fire. Sakakibara Raku had already seen the smile on Amamikururi's face when he turned back. What can he do? Only a forced smile returned to Li Yuli. Asterisk. If there is a shopping mall, there will definitely be a photo sticker machine. This is what Amamikururi likes the most. Anyway, in the past when Sakakihara Raku went on a date with her, she would always have to tinker with the photo sticker machine. Because of Chi-Chi's provocation just now, Li Yuli obviously held a grudge. This time she called Lejun enthusiastically, took his arm and tried to pull him into the machine. Sorry, Chi-Chi, how about lending your brother to your sister? What did sister say? This is obviously my sister's boyfriend. Here it comes, the Shura field is here again. Sakakihara quickly stopped them and directly took their hands, then let's go in together. Come over here. Nanami came to the photo sticker machine and asked Sakakibara Raku in the middle to move inside to make room for herself. This thing was originally designed as a camera machine for couples, and its maximum capacity is 2 people. The 3 of them were squeezed in together, and it was inevitable that they would be crowded. July. Your butt seems a bit big, it's squeezing me. Tianhaikaiminyu glared at someone directly. Why don't you say someone in the middle has a big butt? My butt has been squeezed flat by you, so why should it be bigger? My sister has a big butt. Don't talk nonsense in July, our body figures are all the same, okay Tianhaijuli Yuli argued. My sister exercises every day and likes to run, so she has a big butt. In July, you sit and read every day, and your butt is too big. Raku Sakakibara's head was full of black lines. What are you two arguing about? You are just like children, hurry up and take pictures, otherwise it will be crowded to death. Neither of them spoke. Since it was just a small fight, things passed quickly. Tianhaijuli Yulai began to tinker with the fancy features of the photo sticker machine. Sakakibara Raku took the opportunity to hug Nanami Nanamijetsu on his right. The two spoke to each other in whispers that only each other could hear. Aren't you afraid of being discovered by your sister? Fine. Sakakibara's hand slid along the line of Nanamijiu's waist, and whispered to her. How about you let me hug Liulai too? Tianhaikaimingu subconsciously wanted to roll her eyes at him. His claws were still restless, moving up and down, grabbing and grabbing, but because he was still comfortable hugging her waist, she whispered back to him. You have the ability to tell your sister about this directly. Tianhaikaimingu herself was curious about how her sister would react, so she said it casually. Of course I have the ability. Unexpectedly, after hearing this, Sakakibara turned around and went to talk to her sister. After hearing what Sakakibara Raku said, Amami Kuruori was stunned for a long time, and then went to look at Amami Nanamijetsu. He hesitated for a second and finally nodded. Sakakibara was shocked. You agreed. After all, I said today that I have to take a step back. Besides, it's not me who agrees, it's only Kyo who agrees that I agree, Tianhaijuli Yulai said unconvinced. Tianhaikaimingu also had a bit of anger in her, waving her hand and saying. It's my sister's idea too. If my sister agrees, I will agree. If you are pushing and blocking like this, won't it become an endless cycle? Sakakibara Raku felt that she had no reason to hesitate. While she hugged Kyo with her right hand, she also hugged Liulai with her left hand. Just like that, he hugged one on each side, holding the twin sisters close to him. Sakakibara Raku only felt that the moment he touched their waists together, he felt at ease. The two sisters were holding each other's arms, and their hands could touch their waists casually. Being hugged around the waist like this, Chi-Chi was okay. Tianhaijuli Yulai's face immediately turned red. She didn't expect Chi-Chi to really agree like this. Sister, are you shy? Amami Nanami took the initiative to lean on Sakakibara Raku's shoulder, lightly covering her mouth, and spoke to Julie Yulai opposite her in a flat tone that seemed to be mocking. So is shy? I'm not. Amami Kuruori avoided her sister's sight on Sakakibara Raku's chest. Sister is still being arrogant. She is really shy and doesn't dare to look at me. No, there wasn't one in the first place. Okay, don't argue, let me enjoy it first. Sakakibara hugged the waists of the two sisters tightly, and narrowed his eyes in the closed photo sticker machine. You're not qualified to say that. Julajun is the worst. Tianhaikaimingu and Tianhaijuli Yulai said to him one after another. But what's the harm in being told? Sakakibara Raku felt that he had reached the peak of his life, and he just wanted to hold them both in his arms for a while longer. After Amami Nanamijetsu and Amami Kuruori said what they just said at the same time, they looked at each other with Sakakibara Raku's arms around their waists. The eyes, facial features, and hair color are like a mirror, reflecting your own face on your sister. The twin sisters looked at each other, then looked away from each other, and finally, they saw Raku Sakakibara's hand holding each other's waist. Small space, endless ambiguity. Asterisk. After strolling around the mall for more than an hour, Tianhaijuli Yulai came out again and saw a roadside shop selling ice cream, so she paid for 3 ice creams. For me. Tianhaikaimingu didn't expect that her sister didn't care about what happened just now, and even gave her the ice cream that looked the biggest. Raku Sakakibara ran to the toilet. If not. Tianhaikaimingu looked at the ice cream in her hand and fell into deep thought. What was my sister thinking about when she was in the photo sticker machine just now? What are you thinking about? I feel like I'm looking in a mirror, and in this mirror is the person I love equally. It's strange. I usually feel like hearing how much Lejun likes you and what he's done to you. It's awkward, but when you come into contact with him in front of me, I have no idea at all. Tianhaijuli Yulai sipped her ice cream and said, in addition, I just listened to what Li Jun said. That's why I don't care about what happened in July at all. What words? Lejun said that you will also give me a share of the surprise you prepared for yourself today. Seeing that her sister was silent again, Tianhaijuli Yulai asked her. July. What do you think our current relationship is like? We haven't discussed this yet. The relationship between us is very strange. Tianhaikaimingu thought for a while. Why is it so weird? Can you tell me about it in Kyo? I want to know what you think. It's strange. I want to relax my conditions for my sister, but I can't help but feel jealous. I want to deal with my sister, I want to bully my sister, but because I think of the past when my sister gave me her best thing, I can't bear to make my sister sad. Now I only have some joking attitude toward her. The two sat on a bench in the pedestrian street. Next to the bench is a green zelkova tree and an unlit pedestrian street lamp. Because they are twins, the two of them sitting here attract the attention of many passers-by. Sister, can you let me lean on your shoulder? It's been a long time since I've leaned on my sister. Tired from walking, Tianhaijuli Yulai looked at Tianhaikaimingu who was eating ice cream. Well, I'm tired from walking. Then go ahead. Tianhaijuli Yulai did not refuse, and Tianhaikaimingu later leaned on her sister's shoulder. Elder sister. Sister. Here I am. Sister who is 5 minutes older. What do you want to say in July? Tianhaikaimingu closed her eyes on her sister's shoulder and said calmly and soothingly, I just want to tease my sister like before. Chi, you still like to tease your sister so much. Where did you get the habit? Because if I don't tease my sister, wouldn't it be boring at home? Dad is strict and doesn't act like a father to us. My sister doesn't know how to cook dinner, so she always eats some bento. I will do it now. Brother didn't teach you, sister. Tianhaijuli Yulai looked at the clouds in the blue sky, and her mind seemed to flow to the sky. After I learned how to cook, I haven't cooked a delicious meal for you in Kyo alone, right? Thankfully, sister still knows about this. In order to help you improve your cooking skills, I often ate my sister's dark dishes. I used to get injured all the time during sports, and it was the ointment you put on me in July. It's true, sister, it's true. I obviously care about sister, but I still think that no one cares about you, sister. I don't know why Tianhaijuli Yulai looked away from the sky and lowered his head. That's because my sister has always regarded herself as her sister, Tianhaichi Minjiao said on her shoulder. My sister also ignored me because she was too close to me, just like many people ignore their parents' love. If my sister, who subconsciously takes these things for granted and is accustomed to them, would act coquettishly and complain to me, she would not be like this. Tianhaijuli Yulai understood, and said with emotion, because I am your sister, Kyo. I shouldn't pour my depression on you, because you are already very depressed. That's why I keep saying that I want to be a sister for once. Is this what you think in July? Otherwise. My sister just likes to put pressure on herself. She is only 5 minutes older than me, so what kind of sister is she? I'm also your sister 5 minutes older. It doesn't count. The two sisters quarreled, and Li Yulai laughed. Tianhaikaimingu's expression did not change, but she felt that her sister was smiling, so she smiled in her heart. Tianhaijuli Yulai tried to ask her sister on her shoulder. Kyo. It's more of a mentality that you want to tease me, right? That's why you said those words to me just now. Tianhaikaimingu licked the ice cream and explained calmly, Sister, I want to go back to the days when I teased my sister and she would not be angry at all. Then even if I secretly eat some of her things, she will show her generosity to me. What does it mean if you don't give me anything? Speaking of this, Tianhaijuli Yulai remembered it and became a little angry. Kia, you have liked to steal your sister's food since you were a child. Many times you promised to give your sister the potato chips, but you always ate them secretly alone. Oh, and pudding too. Sister will forgive me. So now you start stealing your sister's boyfriend, right? This is not about stealing from my sister. It did count in the past, but now someone said it himself, he loves me very much. Lejun also said he loves me. Tianhaijuli Yulai sighed with emotion, and the two of them were silent for a while. The elder sister said to the younger sister who was leaning on her shoulder. In July, you always said that you wanted to be a sister, but now you are like this, don't you think of yourself as a sister? Because my sister just wants to be her sister, of course I have to be my sister. In addition, even if I don't consider my current status, eating my sister's boyfriend's lips secretly is a very pleasant thing. As expected, Chi-Chi really likes to eat my sister's food. So, sister, this time, just like before, give it to Kia, okay? Tianhaijuli Yulai didn't know what to say. Understand his sister's feelings, understand his sister's persistence, understand his sister's love for him. Until now, he is willing to admit his sister's identity by his side. But in my heart, I will always be secretly jealous. Tianhaijuli Yulai didn't like this. I don't even like myself who gets jealous in July. Because jealousy will make the relationship between them very tense, and they will go back to the painful time in the past. Sisters should be happier and happier with each other. It's like Chi-Chi secretly ate his favorite thing that was kept in the refrigerator when he was a child. When he saw it, he just smiled and said, Chi-Chi, you ate it again. Of course Lejun cannot be represented by these things. Mr. Keek is considered the most precious and important person in his heart. Can he really share such a person with his sister without any grudges? Well, Tianhaijuli Yulai wanted to sigh. In fact, she already understood. Just like love, the person who falls in love with the other person first must be the loser. You can't have your cake and eat it too, and you can't have it both ways, including all the feelings of possession and the feelings of your sister. If you want to find this kind of point in the middle, you always have to give and take. If you think about it carefully, what else do you feel dissatisfied about now? I received support that I had never had before, and I picked up the piano again, willing to play for myself on the world stage. Just like what I thought this afternoon, Lejun gave me too many things. So, what about trying to let go a little more? Lejun promised himself that he would still like her, promised himself that he would take her to the UK to see the maple leaves, and promised that he would take care of her from beginning to end. Love is selfish, but various conditions make Tianhaijuli Yulai understand that if she wants to maintain her relationship with Kia, the love she needs cannot be so selfish. If you are selfish, not only will Kia Lejun, who cannot be abandoned, leave, but Kia will also leave. That way, there's really nothing left. July. Tianhaijimingyu, who was eating ice cream, looked at her sister. I decided to let go and take a step back. Let go of what? Tianhaijuli Yulai folded her hands in front of her pleated skirt. She stared at her hands and whispered. I know that compared to you, I have helped Lejun too little, so I am actually not qualified to ask Lejun to do anything for me. He has done so much for me, but he is actually considerate of my mood. Thinking about my feelings, in the final analysis, it was because he liked me that he did so much for me unconditionally. I was very grateful to him for doing this, but at the same time, I also felt ashamed that I should enjoy his kindness. So, I really don't intend to stop you today. This is the promise you should get in July. Compared to me, you have done much more. Tianhaijimingyu stopped eating ice cream and stared at her sister's face curiously. Why does my sister suddenly think like this? The main reason is probably because of what Lejun said to me in the afternoon. He didn't mean it, but I deliberately thought about it. Since Lejun wants to take care of you and me at the same time, I can't bear to completely cut off from you in Kyo. As for your relationship, I agree to it. Since you and Lejun made an agreement in July, I will agree to it on a first come, first served basis. Tian Hai Kaimingyu stood up from her shoulders. Sister, do you plan to go back now? Tian Hai Julie Yulai smiled slightly. Otherwise, I came to follow you because I think you can't do that kind of thing in front of me in Kyo. Because in Kyo, you take this relationship too seriously and entrust it with a sincere heart. There is no way in my life that you can still make fun of me when you are about to do something serious. Tian Hai Chi Minjiao lowered her head and took a small bite of ice cream. Sister's guess is really accurate. Well, so I thought about it. Since Lejun will not abandon me, why should I compete with my sister? They are all people I have loved and will love. I can't ask for too much, as long as I return having your love and Lejun's love for me is enough. Amamai Kuruori stood up as if she had thought. She stretched, took all the newly bought clothes bags in front of the bench into her hands, and at the same time handed her Sakakibara Raku's ice cream. Sister is really going back, Tian Hai Kaimingyu asked. Of course, I can't see that kind of scene. And you will be jealous of me in Kyo, right? Otherwise, why did you secretly drag Lejun over there to kiss you for so long? It made me feel it here. My sister keeps saying that she doesn't feel anything. Idiot, that's a lie. Tian Hai Julie Yulai stretched out his finger and flicked Tian Hai Kaimingyu's forehead, and smiled at her. I have always known the good deeds you secretly did in Kyo. You are a little. If you get closer, I will know that there is a sweetness in your heart that lingers for a long time. I could not feel this kind of thing from you before. What did my sister think of me before? Tian Hai Chi Minjiao asked again. Ashes, a bunch of ashes. What now? Red, there are many, many reds. It is the smell of sunshine. I first felt this feeling in Ehime Prefecture when you were 5 years old. After that, when I returned to Tokyo, the red color disappeared a lot. After that, you ran out secretly, but couldn't find Lejun. After being brought back to Tokyo by your father, the red color completely disappeared and turned into a cold gray. Was July's heart very desperate? After all the efforts to find it, there was no news. Even my mother-in-law's house has moved away, and you don't even have a chance to write a letter. Tian Hai Kaimingyu silently ate the last bit of ice cream. What's even more desperate is that after persisting for more than 10 years, he doesn't remember me at all, nor the agreement between us. And he also fell in love with my sister. Sorry. In July, sister apologizes to you. It's not my sister's fault, it's that scumbag's fault. Tian Hai Julie Yulai smiled again and said, so, it is right for Lejun to compensate you now. You also deserve to be happy. I wish you a happy evening. I will go back first. Remember not to come back tomorrow. Be careful. Dad and Aunt saw the clues. Tian Hai Julie Yulai waved her hand to her sister. She quickly finished the ice cream in her hand, picked up the canvas bags on both sides of her feet, and was about to leave. Well. A long helpless sigh. Sister Tian Hai Chi Minjiao suddenly stood up from the bench and called out to the figure who was about to walk away. What? Tian Hai Julie Yulai turned around on the street. Sister, you'd better stay here today. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. About the fact that I unintentionally raised my sister to be a cripple. Author, Wo Buletin 11 Huan Tiu Lan. Chapter 373. The pedestrian street was so lively that Tian Hai Julie Yulai wondered if he had heard it wrong. She stayed where she was, and after taking a few seconds to understand what her sister meant, her cheeks suddenly turned red. What are you talking about in July? Tianhai Kaimingyu sighed. I said it would be better for my sister to stay. How can I stay here? To stay is to stay. How can I stay here? Sister, just stay. No matter how you think about it, it's impossible to stay. I don't mind. I mind. Tianhai Kaimingyu's repeated repetitions made Tianhai Juliulai's face turn red with anger. Didn't my sister say that she would follow me all the time today? Didn't I make it clear to you in Kyo just now? Why are you still asking me this now? And why do you suddenly not mind anymore? Weren't you still jealous of me when you were in the mall just now? Who told my sister to say such things to me just now? So. Tianhai Kaimingyu replied, so, my sister has taken a step back, why can't I take a step back? This made Tianhai Juliulai fall into a tangle. She suddenly found that her relationship with Kyo was really strange. When they fought for things, they fought hard for things, and when they pushed for things, they pushed hard for them. She would even think about whether she had already accepted herself in July before. It's just because he has never given Kyo a step forward that the relationship between the sisters has reached such a stiff stage. Elder sister. Tianhai Kaimingyu came over and took Tianhai Juliulai's hands. Tianhai Juliulai looked into her sister's eyes, and saw herself in those blue eyes. My sister is actually very unwilling, right? Even if she now thinks that this is the happiness that I deserve, she will still think about questions like why not me? Tianhai Juliulai knew this in her heart, and she helplessly replied to her sister in front of her. No more now, Qi Wei did a better job than me. Is this what my sister is saying? Words from the heart. Tianhai Chi Minjiao was quiet for a second or two, and then looked at her sister who had a firm gaze in front of her but was a little evasive. Since my sister doesn't have any grudges against me now, it proves that she can completely accept me. Tianhai Juliulai didn't understand what her sister wanted to say, and waited for her to continue. Inviting my sister to stay is not what my sister thought, but the surprise I mentioned before. Tianhai Juliulai was slow to react for a second or two, the surprise prepared for Lejun in Kyo. Well, didn't I tell someone everything? Now that my sister is here, she also has a share. Asterisk. Raku Sakakihara waved his hands and walked out of the public restroom, returning to where the two sisters were waiting for him. Still far away, he saw two sisters standing on the pedestrian street, holding hands and facing each other under the blue sky and white clouds, as if they were saying something very serious to each other. Sakakihara Raku felt strange. Weren't these two sisters jealous just now because of themselves? Why does it seem like the relationship is getting better? He walked over and the two sisters just finished talking. Tianhai Chi Minjiao handed over an ice cream in a plastic bag. As Sakakihara took it smoothly, he heard what she said to him. Sister is going home. Want to go home? Sakakibara stopped after taking only one bite of the ice cream in his hand. He looked at Liulai. Didn't Liulai say that he would follow you all the time today? Tianhai Juliulai smiled at him, holding the canvas bag with clothes in her hands and folding them in front of her pleated skirt. This action made her look a little cute, and the slender white thighs under the skirt highlighted the youthfulness of a high school girl. The reason I had this idea was because I was very dissatisfied with Chiu, but now I think about it. Sakakihara Raku probably understood what Ruri meant. Now Ruri is going to give up to Chiu. Lejun should say that this is the happiness that July deserves. Sakakihara looked around at the faces of the two sisters. Although he didn't know how Kyo persuaded Liulai, since Liulai thought so, he should respect it. Then I'll take you back, Liulai. There's no need to trouble my brother about this. Tianhai Chi Minjiao hugged her sister's arm and suddenly interjected, my sister has been persuaded to come down. Did you persuade him to come down? Tianhai Minjiao held her sister's left hand, her eyes half closed, as if she was unhappy. Brother seems to be very happy after hearing this. Sakaki Hara smiled, this is not normal. Of course I am happy that Ruri can stay. Because this way the three of us can have dinner together at night. One more person will make it more fun. Lejun, don't think too much, Tianhai Yulai said to him with a shameful face. No, no, Raku Sakaki Hara said carelessly, knowing that he couldn't say much in this regard. If he said too much, Kyo and Liulai would be unhappy. He directly changed the topic while eating ice cream. By the way, clothes? You have finished shopping and took a group photo, what are you going to do next? Go back to the manor directly or go shopping again? Brother's words have revealed his inner anxiety, Tianhai Kaimingyu secretly sarcastically said to someone, without saying more, but there is nothing to go shopping next, and it will cost 5 o'clock to go shopping. Just buy some ingredients. Go back to the manor. That's okay. Sakaki Hararaku didn't ask any more questions and took the two sisters to the supermarket to buy ingredients. When passing the dairy area, Tianhai Kaimingyu suddenly asked him, brother, do you like drinking milk? Okay. Then buy 2 bottles. Sakakibara didn't know why she bought 2 bottles of milk in July, but she bought it anyway. After leaving the mall and arriving at the underground parking lot, Amamai Kuruuri was walking in front carrying the dishes. Amamai Nana Minjiao suddenly touched Sakakibara Raku's side without warning. She directly hugged Sakakibara Raku's arms and said with her calm face, with her face close to his ear, she whispered like a little devil. Do you want sister to come with us tonight? Her earlobes were itching from the warmth of her words, and her body reacted subconsciously. Of course, Sakaki Hararaku was also surprised by her words. The two of them faced the back of Tianhai Yulai hanging a bag next to the motorcycle in front of them. I don't want to, Sakakibara replied. Tianhai Kaimingyu's expression changed, her half-closed eyes were facing his face, and her hands pinched the flesh of his waist. Tell me the truth. Think. Very much. I really want to. Sakakibara looked directly at her, but just looking at Kyo, he saw the delicate and beautiful eyes on her little face, her moist lips, her breasts that could not be covered by her school uniform, and her it was slightly sensational, but showed a very calm expression. He put his hand under the girl's skirt. Tianhai Kaimingyu closed her eyes for a second, and then showed an accusing look, but sister is still a little resistant now. You said that to me in Chi, do you have any idea? Sakakibara slapped her twice as revenge for having her waist pinched. Of course, Chi Minjiao's expression became even more unfriendly. So be it. That's right. What's the reply? Sakakibara was so happy that he squeezed it as hard as a water balloon. It means you have to listen to me next. Of course, Sakakibara looked at Tianhai Yulai's back and increased the strength of his fingers. Hand. The breath of Tianhai Kaimingyu has obviously changed, and her lips look more bright and attractive. Hand? What hand? I don't want to do it again. Good. Sakaki Hara smiled and took his hands back from under her skirt. Someone is getting really bold. Don't you like this in July? Just barely. That means I like you, but now I want to know you more in Kyo. Do you agree with Li Yulai? Tianhai Kaimingyu walked with him to Tianhai Yulai in front, and said in a calm tone, didn't I just say that if my sister takes a step back, I will naturally take a step back? Just because of this, you agreed to let the three of you go together. Part of the reason is that I chose to accept my sister's identity. What's the other one? The other thing is when we play games, my sister is watching, and I will be very happy. Sakaki Hararaku suddenly had nothing to say. He could only think of some clues that Chi-Chi had shown before. Maybe Chi-Chi was really the kind of sister who liked to steal her sister's food. Asterisk. Bringing the ingredients bought in the supermarket, riding a motorcycle, We crossed the wheat fields in the suburbs again, drove over a wooden bridge along the lake, and then drove through a path sandwiched among the lawns. Soon we returned to the old man's place in Musashi village. French-style manor built in the city. The manor is located on a high ground and looks majestic and open. The motorcycle parked at the door of the manor, and the breeze mixed with the breath of the forest blew here. Sakakibara took off his helmet and couldn't help but look at the large lake on the left that reflected the sun and the blue sky. The hair on his forehead was blown away by the wind. Gently swaying, your nose is filled with a fresh fragrance that has never been seen in the city, and you feel relaxed and happy. Forest, stream, lakeside, meadow. Sakakihara took a deep breath of air. Grandpa chose a really good place. That's good, but then I need your cooperation, brother. Cooperating with what? Just as Sakakibara wanted to turn around, his eyes were suddenly covered by something and he couldn't see anything, which made him confused for the first time. He knew that behind his head, Tian Haikaiminyu was tying the cloth strips for him. You want to play the blindfold game again? Tian Haikaiminyu replied calmly from behind, I'm just showing you a surprise. Oh. Li Yulai also knows what Kyo's surprise is. I know now, Tian Haijuli Yulai replied softly. Then can you tell me about it? Tian Haikaiminyu couldn't help but said to him from behind. I told you it was a surprise. Do you think my sister would tell you? The blindfold that July wore was so thick that Sakakibara couldn't see anything, not even a little light could get through. Although he was standing under the sun, Sakakibara deliberately looked at the place where the sun was shining just now. Okay, Nanami put down the hand that tied the cloth strip and came to Sakakibara Raku. First of all, I have to tell you. Before I tell you that you can take off the cloth strip, you can't untie the cloth strip by yourself. I understand, it's a surprise, right? Sakakihara smiled, actually, I'm really looking forward to the surprise you give me in July. No one has ever been so kind to me before. This sentence made Tian Haichi Minjio look at him again. Don't say such words that ruin the atmosphere now. Okay, you follow sister, and I will lead the way into the manor. Okay. Sakakihara Raku didn't know what surprise Kyo was talking about. He was just being held by Li Yulai and heard the sound of the iron door being pushed open and the sound of the lock being relocked. As time went by, he felt that the road under his feet gradually changed from a dirt road to a flat ground. He couldn't even sense the direction he was walking, but sometimes he would hear Li Yulai say to him, Lejun, let's go up the stairs. He felt as if he had walked up the stairs and entered the main building of the manor. Then he was arranged to sit down on a chair, which seemed to be facing a window balcony or something like that. Sakakibara could feel the warmth of the sun on his hands. Brother, just sit here for now. Huh? You want me to wait for a while? Yes, just sit here quietly and don't move. You couldn't have secretly kidnapped me and sold me to the kidnappers, right? I can't see anything here. How much are you worth? Okay, sit back and relax, my sister and I will be back soon. After saying that, as the footsteps moved away, there was no sound from the two of them. Sakakihara Raku could only sit there and wait for the two of them to come back. When he was bored during this period, he would also think about what this so-called surprise was. It seemed that Li Yulai was hesitant and shy when he answered just now. Time passes little by little. Sakakihara Raku kept talking about it in every possible way. The biggest reason was that the waiting time was too long. He reckons it will take an hour, right? 1 hour, it's already past 5 o'clock, right? It's slower than usual for them to put on makeup and go out. But since Kyo said it was a surprise, he would not lie to him, so he would just wait. Sakakihara lay on the seat and continued to wait. Finally, 5 minutes later. There is movement. Okay, Lejun, get up now. Sakakibara couldn't see anything. He only knew that Liuli was holding his hand and pulling him to get up. "What did you do just now? Why did it take so long? It's been quite a while, but the sun hasn't set yet, and you don't have to ask, you'll know right away. Now follow my sister and me downstairs." Oh. Sakakibara could only nod in the darkness. Then he felt that his left and right hands were being held by the two sisters. They guided him downstairs. He heard the sound of high heels hitting the floor, which was very clear and pleasant to the ear. "You guys just changed your clothes." The back of the head was tilted. "Don't ask." This sentence was said in July. "Oh well." Raku Sakakihara remained silent and followed the two sisters down the stairs in anticipation. Turning to the right, Sakakihara Raku felt that he had gone from indoors to outdoors, and his feet were stepping on the soil. He smelled the faint fragrance of flowers and the slight smell of vegetation. This aroma is neither strong nor strong, giving people a warm and comfortable feeling, as if it is full of life and vitality. Sakakibara couldn't help but smell it more, guessing what kind of flower it was. "Okay, brother, just stand here. Are we going to wait for you again?" "Lejun, it will be fine this time. Please wait so long." "What are you talking about? I should be the one who is happy." The corners of Sakakibara's mouth rose. "Tian hai kaiming you, it's good to know." The two sisters whispered in front of the blindfolded Sakakihara Raku. "Okay, sister, come with me." "Would Lejun not like it?" "He absolutely loves it, there's no man who doesn't. This is my first time wearing this." "Fine." The sound of the two sisters' exchanges gradually faded away, and soon Sakakibara no longer heard their exchanges. After waiting for about a minute, he heard Liuli shouting to him in the distance. "Okay. Lejun, please untie it." "How should I describe my mood at this moment?" Sakakihara Raku thinks it's more about looking forward to the surprises prepared for him in July. "The love I never had in my previous life is perfect in this life." Sakakibara thought about all this in his mind, and reached out to untie the knot of the cloth behind his head. Then after he untied it, his eyes trembled the moment he opened his eyes. The emerald green lawn at your feet, with the evening sun shining faintly on it. In the distance, at the end of the lawn, Tian Hai Kaimingyu and Tian Hai Julie Yuli were wearing crystal wedding dresses and were in a vast field of sunflowers. They are slim, fair-skinned, and have slender waists. Whenever the sun shines through the leaves and flowers of the sunflowers, casting rays of golden light on them, their white wedding dresses will have a dreamy halo. Whenever there is a breeze, the field of sunflowers sway, and the long lace skirt dances lightly. The collar opening exposes the collarbone, the shiny breast protector covers the firm girl's breasts, braids like wheat ears are tied behind her head, and her flaxen hair hangs down her waist. Chi Minjia wore a lace wedding dress with a trailing beading, her slender waist outlined a perfect curve, and her long hair flowed behind her back. She lowered her head slightly, and her elegant makeup made her whole body exude a fresh atmosphere. Julie Yuli, on the other hand, wore a strapless lace wedding dress with just the right folds to make her figure appear slimmer. She smiled, her fair skin exuding a light luster, and paired with the beads on her wedding dress, she looked elegant and luxurious. Under the sun, the detailed lines on the wedding dresses of the two sisters are clearly visible, emitting a gorgeous light, making people fall in love with their beauty. At this moment, they were all standing in the field of sunflowers, holding hands and looking at themselves. Sakakihara held the strip of cloth in his hand and put one hand on his hip. When he saw the two girls wearing wedding dresses in the flower field in the distance, he smiled helplessly. It turns out the wedding dress is the surprise. He walked down and came to the two girls. He touched his chin and looked left and right beside the two dignified girls. "I quite like it." Tian Hai Julie Yuli looked a little restrained. Her hands were still wearing white gloves from her wedding dress. She was looking left and right at her outfit. Kyo suddenly said that she had many wedding dresses to wear, and then she wore them like this out of nowhere. Luli is beautiful. Raku Sakakibara praised and looked at Amami Nanamayu, who was not as tall as the sunflower next to her. Her flaxen hair was tied up, and the graceful lines of her face were more prominent, highlighting her elegance and sophistication. Of course, Chi-Chi is also very beautiful. By the way, Chi-Chi is so fond of wedding dresses. Didn't I tell you that I really like wedding dresses? Then you secretly collected several sets. Tianhai-Chi Minjiao crossed her arms and nodded. I also bought the wedding dress that I took wedding photos with you before. If there is no place to put it, I will put it here. Sakakihara smiled happily again. Is this considered a wedding dress? Otherwise, who do you think it's for? Tianhai-Chi Minjiao asked with a calm face. She suddenly held her forehead again. Originally, I planned to make the scene more solemn, and I would prepare my feelings before I put it on for you, but I can't see it now. So be it. What's wrong with that? Sakakihara smiled lightly and reached out to pull Kyo's small hand wearing white gloves. Anyway, I think you look good in your wedding dress in Kyo, and so does Liuli's one. I feel like Lejun is a bit perfunctory. Perfunctory? Then it won't be perfunctory if you come to kiss me. Sakakibara held Nanami's little hand and bit Ruri's lips while she was looking at her. After the kiss, Juliuli went to see Chi Minjiao and found that she had no expression. This is considered completely accepted, right? She couldn't help but guess so in her heart. By the way, where did you get such a large field of sunflowers in July? It's not even May yet. Plant early and bloom early. Tianhai Kaimingyu, who was in a wedding dress, closed her eyes and replied, and sunflowers are not a species that blooms without May. In addition, the temperature is high this year, and the flowering period has been advanced. Then what? What do we do next? Take pictures for us, Tianhai Kaimingyu said. Do you want to take wedding photos? That's right, Tianhai Chi Minjiao continued to say to him, this time with an extremely serious expression and tone. I have always believed that marriage does not require government certification. What is important is always how a person behaves in it. Wedding dress. Firstly, you have to fulfill the promise you made when you were a child. Secondly, I want you to take photos for me, and thirdly, it can be regarded as our engagement. Do you understand what this means? Clear? Too airy? Clear. Sakakihara laughed. So what Chi-Chi said about Liuli also had a share, was also referring to these three things. So be it. After hearing her sister's answer, Tianhai Juliuli didn't know what to say. What could this mean? This means that Kyo truly accepts herself and is willing to forgive and accept the excessive words her sister said to her in the past. It was obviously something that was prepared for him in Kyo, but now he had to share it with his sister. Tianhai Juliuli was wearing a July wedding dress, and she couldn't help but feel a little more emotional. Sister doesn't actually hate me that much now. When I choose to get back together with you in Kyo, I won't hate you so much. Now I want to make peace with you more in Kyo. Then let's go together, three of us. Why are you still talking about this? Tianhai Juliuli blushed. Sister Chi-Chi is talking about taking wedding photos. Tianhai Juliuli's cheeks turned even redder because she was thinking so wildly. How about we let my brother take pictures for us first? Well, what does this mean? I will marry my sister. Don't talk nonsense in July. It's too much. Sister flicked my forehead again. If you talk nonsense in Kyo, I'll slap your forehead. Seeing the twin sisters in wedding dresses bickering with each other in the sunflower field, Sakakihara Raku felt as if he had returned to the past. Such days are happy. Asterisk. It took about an hour to take pictures in the sunflower field. By the end of the day, the sunset had dyed the horizon red. The lake next to the manor was reflected in the sunset, and the afterglow reflected from the lake, changing colors. The trees on the edge of the lake look particularly tall and majestic in the sunset, and the mountains in the distance become as brilliant as gold in the sunset. Among the grass by the lake and in some wooden corridors, some wild flowers bloom quietly. Their petals become so delicate and delicate under the sunshine, as if they are a touch of mystery under the sunset, gorgeous and beautiful. While shooting in these places, Raku Sakakihara took a camera and took photos of the two sisters in wedding dresses one by one. It can be regarded as a rare leisure time. After taking hundreds of wedding pictures of various places and scenery, the three of them returned to the manor together. Want to take pictures? Sakakihara Raku was a little confused when he heard Chi-Chi's words, "Why are we still filming?" Tianhaijuli Yulai couldn't help but ask doubtfully, "It should be enough, why do we still need to shoot?" Amami Nanamajetsu didn't answer, but held up her skirt and slowly walked to Sakakibara Raku. The girl stood on tiptoes and whispered something in his ear. Amami Kuruori couldn't hear what her sister said, but saw some changes in Sakakibara Raku's expression. "Let's talk about it later. Now let's cook and eat." "Okay," Tianhai Kaimingyu replied. The two sisters changed back into their previous school uniforms. "Sister, do you still want to go home? We've already taken wedding photos, so it's not convenient for me to keep them. Can sister help me with the cooking? I want to eat the food cooked by my sister." "That's no problem." Tianhaijulai agreed without much thought, and then she started washing vegetables and cutting meat to prepare dinner. Tianhaijulai was busy in the kitchen for a while, and she was a little confused as to why Sakakibara didn't come to the kitchen. He should know how to cook. It's right to come. However, when she walked out of the kitchen on the first floor and looked at the Western-style villa on the second floor and saw no one, she remembered that her sister was going to have a date with Lejun today. She blushed immediately. She returned to the kitchen, chopping vegetables and thinking wildly. Could it be that the two of them had started secretly while he was away? Tianhaijuli Yulai suddenly felt a little flustered and a little concerned. Although she knew that this would indeed be the case today and was mentally prepared, she was completely unprepared for the two of them doing that and that above her. What if July makes a sound? Should I listen? Doesn't it hurt to hear that? I originally planned to go with Lejun yesterday. But now? Can I just go home alone now? Tianhaijuli Yulai's head was thinking wildly, and she was getting more and more anxious. She also became more and more concerned about what the two of them were doing. She was cooking in a hurry, absent-mindedly, and took longer than usual to make a side dish. Tianhaijuli Yulai went upstairs with the first dinner plate. She walked into the living room and peeked in. "Sister, has dinner been prepared?" Tianhai Kaimingyu suddenly appeared, startling Tianhaijuli Yulai. Chi, you scared me to death." "Sister, you seem worried." The neatly dressed Amami Nanamayu looked at her sister. Behind her, Raku Sakakibara was lying on the sofa watching TV. No, I'm just a little concerned." "Have you prepared a dinner, and a small stir-fried pork?" Tianhaijuli Yulai was completely relieved. "My sister seems to be sighing. What was my sister worried about just now? Chi, please stop guessing and bring it in quickly. I have a side dish downstairs." "Oh." Tianhaijuli Yulai hurriedly went downstairs. Not only was his heart unsettled, but he was also thinking more and more wildly. She had been thinking about whether anything happened behind her back in Kia when she and Lejun were alone. What should you do if you accidentally hit it? Maybe if you stay here, it won't be a big deal. She really wanted to do more things with Lejun at night. She had been mentally preparing for this for a long time. In the messy thoughts, Tianhaijuli Yulai cooked the side dishes. Fortunately, nothing happened during the meal. Kyo and Lejun were just chatting normally, complaining about TV, which made Tianhaijuli Yulai relax again. After dinner, Raku Sakakibara offered to wash the dishes. Tianhai Kaimingyu pulled Tianhaijuli Yulai and said, Sister, take a bath and then go back. Bath. Sister, how long has it been since we took a shower? It's just a good time to whisper some sister's secrets without letting anyone hear. But I dash. Oh, 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 sister, just come, just come. Eh. Tianhaijuli Yulai had no room to refuse, so she was pulled into the bathroom by her sister. Washing your hair, chatting, and rubbing your back were all normal at first, and Tianhaijuli Yulai gradually calmed down in the daily atmosphere. However, then Raku Sakakibara suddenly opened the bathroom door, and Amamai Kuruori was immediately frightened and hugged her chest. Continued from chapter 366.5. About the fact that I unintentionally raised my sister to be a cripple. Author, Wo Buletin 11 Huan Tiu Lan. Chapter 374. Call. This is probably what it feels like after breathing heavily. I held my head on the big bed, looked up at the sky outside the window, looked at the darkening clouds on the horizon, and then began to think about what the so-called life is. This is probably how your brain wakes up after the incident. Sakakibara closed his eyes and smelled the fragrance of sunflowers brought by the breeze of the manor outside the window. He doesn't want to think about what life is, because he has figured out what he needs as early as a child, which is to have someone who loves him, and then live happily every day. Sakakibara opened his eyes again. He turned around and looked at Amamai Kuruori, who was sleeping next to him with his bare shoulders. See her sleeping face. His face smiled unconsciously. Of course, there is also a hint of embarrassment because of what just happened. Reaching out and pulling the quilt to her shoulders, Sakakibara turned to the left, only to realize that Chi-Chi was no longer here. Where did July go? Seeing the empty quilt on the left side, Sakakibara grabbed the phone in the dark under the moonlight. The screen suddenly lit up, and Sakakibara was stimulated by the bright light and subconsciously closed his eyes. He looked at the time carefully and saw that it was already 3 o'clock in the morning. It turned out that I had already slept. But where did July go? It's 3 o'clock in the morning. Maybe she just went to drink water, maybe she went to the toilet. But for some reason, when he saw the empty space on the left, he felt that his heart felt a little lonely this night. Sakakibara stood up, put on his pants, and walked out of the largest bedroom in the manor. In a large villa like this, the corridors are usually illuminated at night. Raku Sakakibara walked to the nearest restroom and knocked on the door. After waiting for a few seconds and no response, he realized that Nanamai was not here. Since she wasn't in the bathroom, where was she? Sakakibara looked back at the spacious mansion, walked along the spiral staircase to the second floor and walked to the living room. He walked all the way out of the gate and looked for the courtyard. Finally, under an old tree, he saw the back of a girl standing in a field of sunflowers in the distance. She was wearing a white bathrobe, bathing in the moonlight, and the evening breeze was blowing the patches of sunflowers in front of her. Because it was approaching midnight and the temperature this year was higher than in previous years, there was already a crisp chirping of cicadas in the wild at this time. Sakakibara looked at the hazy back of July in the distance. She was looking into the distance, her flaxen hair floating in the night. Her eyes looked extremely hazy in the moonlit night. Raku Sakakibara crossed the path in the sunflower field and walked towards her. Why are you here in July? Come out and get some air. Tianhaikaimingu looked away from the invisible shadow of Mount Fuji in the distance, and the lake outside the sunflower field was sparkling. She closed her eyes quietly and had a steady beauty on her face. Are you not used to it? I think you should rest now. Sakakibara's eyes fell directly on her beautiful facial features. Just looking at her face now, he couldn't imagine how she looked in bed just now. Why did brother come out again? Tianhaikaimingu opened her eyes and asked, her sky blue eyes shining with moonlight. Come out to find you. Then why did you come out to find me? When I saw you weren't here, I naturally came out to look for you. Tian Haikaimingu looked at his face for a long time, and found that he was only wearing pajamas, so he came out to look for her at 3 in the morning. Although I say some things to you too much and you may find them annoying, I still want to say thank you. Sakakibara felt strange. He approached her and took her hand. Why are you so alienated all of a sudden? Wasn't it quite enthusiastic before? Did I go too far before? Tian Haikaimingu shook her head in silence, and she turned to ask another question. If I suddenly disappeared one day like tonight, would you still come to me like today? Kyo, what are you talking about? Sakakibara didn't understand the meaning of her question for a while. Tian Haikaimingu hugged his left arm with his right hand and continued to ask him, will you? Definitely, Sakakihara answered while also observing Kyo, wondering why she suddenly became like this after sleeping for a while. At first he didn't understand it at all. But when she saw the thin yukata on Kyo's body and her bare shoulders, she almost guessed her inner thoughts. That's right, I felt comfortable when I visited before. After finishing the work, I fell asleep. He actually forgot that this time it was originally for Kyo to fulfill the agreement. Kyo was actually asking for her position in his heart with a very, very serious mood. Although Chi-Chi seemed to be having a lot of fun when Liulai was there. But what if Liulai is not here? Does this represent this first experience, a kind of contract? Thinking of this, Sakakihara Raku also knew what he should do. Kyo, come here quickly. Sakakibara stretched out his hand to her and motioned her to lean against his shoulder. What? Still want to do it? Of course not. Sakakihara was pleased to see that she didn't resist much, so he pulled her to him, then stretched out his hands and hugged her. Tian Haikaimingu's 2 hands were pressed against his heart, and her cheek was pressed against his. The girl did not expect that he would do this suddenly. July Sakakibara closed his eyes, and while holding her, he called out the name of the girl in his arms. You call me that? Do you want to be coquettish? Tian Haikaimingu didn't understand his thoughts, but she did not refuse his hug. On the contrary, because of his hug, her body seemed to feel much warmer in the dark night. You must have troubles in July, right? That's why you came here in the middle of the night. How about talking to me? Talk to me, Chi-Chi, I will listen to you carefully. I will listen to you carefully. A simple sentence, but it made Tian Haikaimingu's thoughts ripple. Think about it carefully. In more than 10 years, how many people have been willing to calm down and listen to themselves? She even knew that it was useless to express her annoyance to the outside world, as it would only lead to incomprehension from others. But now, there is really such a person who is willing to listen to me talk about my troubles and is willing to help me solve my troubles. In fact, what moved my heart was not only that he was willing to listen, but also that he understood his own feelings. Originally, I thought that handing over my first time would make me feel more at ease. But it turned out that my previous idea was wrong. Now I am thinking, if one day, I no longer have the things you pursue, the things you love, what will happen to you at that time? Sakakihara heard Kyo in her arms telling herself such words with her eyes closed. Completely understanding her current state. You are still very insecure in July. Perhaps so. After all, for more than 10 years, I was basically walking alone on a path that I didn't even know had any hope. Sakakibara hugged her tighter. He put Kyo's cheek against his neck, letting her completely rely on his arms. What Kyo is actually most afraid of is being abandoned, right? Not hearing Chi-Chi's answer, Sakakihara said gently to the petite girl in his arms. Because July when you were a child was the July who cried and ran to the mountains alone to ask your mother to come to you. You injured your feet and got wet, and then you sat silently at the bus stop in the countryside. In fact, the inferior mother has always been expecting her to come to you in July, right? Tian Haikaimingu listened to his gentle voice, hugged his neck, closed her eyes and said nothing. I remember the way you looked up at me in July. There was no sparkle in your eyes. You just looked at me blankly. At that time, July sat alone in the rain for a day. In fact, little July, I also know that I have been abandoned by my mother. But Xiao Qiu is still willing to believe that her mother is looking for me. However, when I carry you to the villa area and you see your mother still teaching your sister the piano, you have to completely face the reality. This is the first time. Later, Xiao Qiu met me. I gave you food, took you to play, and told you stories and told you little secrets in the mountains. For example, for the first time, you learned about the methods used to start a fire. The wind burns it, for example, letting you know that some fruits in the mountains are inedible, and also telling you where you can go and where you can't go. Actually, I am equivalent to your second mother. I take the initiative to take you to see the beauty of this world. In your eyes in July, I am very important. But in fact, to me, you are just a playmate I had when I was a child, so I give you things and cook you delicious food, so you will remember it for so long. However, later on, there was no contact from me anymore. You came from Tokyo. A little girl came all the way to see me, but she didn't see anything. This is the second abandonment. Now, a year ago, you confessed your love to me, but I rejected you countless times. I forgot the agreement between us, the promise of you learn knowledge, and I will tell you stories. I even rushed you left. This is the third abandonment. After saying these words, Sakaki Hararaku also felt as if he had returned to the past. He gently held Kyo in his arms and felt the temperature of her cheeks. Kyo, no matter how she changes, her true heart is always the little Kyo waiting for her mother at the bus stop. She doesn't want to be abandoned. She wants to gain solid support and absolute trust. For this reason, she willing to do anything, no matter what. Sakakibara stopped, opened his eyes, and looked at Amami Nanamajetsu, who was leaning on his shoulder and neck with eyes closed in his arms. Her mouth moved slightly. The story is very well told. She opened Minggrun's beautiful eyes and looked at Sakaki Hararaku's face above. But now that I have given you my most important thing, and you have got me, will it still be the same as before? People always like the new and hate the old, just like reading a book, absorbing emotions from a book, but when these emotions end and the story ends, you have to move on to the next story. July. Yeah, I'm listening. I don't know about other people, but I never think that if I have the first time with you in July, even if I get you completely, in the future, countless days will still be waiting for us, every day the money, rice, oil, and salt in the house, the various pressures on your foundation and family. Even in life, we can also find the fun of bickering in a daily relationship. You know me well in July, right? Do you know what I like best? Care, whether others care about you or you care about others. Life can never be smooth sailing, and there will always be obstacles that are difficult to overcome. If you suddenly disappeared and left in July, what should I do? There are countless women in this world, but I can meet only 7 you, there is only you. The only one I can meet in July who can understand me and support me is you. If you are gone, I will be really sad and my heart will become empty, because of that naughty Chi you disappeared, and Kyo, who was sometimes as cold as ice but actually cared about herself, also disappeared. July's first time with me today is not the end, but a new beginning. No matter what, I also want to have your care in July. It's no longer there. Where can I find you who understand me so well, me, the person who helps me secretly and takes care of my emotions? So, Xiao Qiu, please be sure, be at ease, I'm still waiting to officially marry you in the future, and then have a child with you. Don't you look forward to your children in July? You will definitely not treat her like your mother. You will definitely show infinite love and care for your own children and watch her grow up happily. Holding her hand, each one slowly grew up. One sentence. Every word that was said leisurely was heard by the 7 bright moons in the sky and the sea. 1138. What 1138? I will always remember these 1138 words you said to me. Sakakihara laughed, hugged her tighter, and pressed his face closer to hers. How boring are you in July? You still count the number of words I speak. Tian Haikaimingu put her hands on his heart, looked at him seriously and said, not everyone has the patience to say such a long list of words, right? If it were an ordinary person, most of them would choose just a few words of comfort instead of like you tell me a long story like this, tell me what you really think in your heart, and then give me what I really want. Only a fool like you can do this, and only you can say this to me, right? Well, that seems to be the case. After all, you don't have many friends in Kyoto. Although Liulai understands you, she can't say these words. Seeing how serious she was, Sakakihara Raku's sky-blue eyes seemed to be shining brightly under the moonlight. Is this considered touching? Sakakihara was not sure, but he knew that Kyo absolutely liked what he said to her, so he continued to smile at her delicate little face and said, then why don't you cherish me more in Kyo? Don't say anything about disappearing suddenly. Isn't little Kyo the little girl who will come to me no matter what? Feel sorry. Okay, okay, Sakakihara hugged her again, feeling more and more that Kyo was actually a petite girl, not some smart young lady or a top student. Stop apologizing. Rather than apologizing, I like it better when you make some funny jokes to me in Kyo. Every time you get serious in Kyo, I feel distressed, so actually I was quite happy just now. I like you. I know. Sakakihara smiled happily in the sunflower field. I like you very much. You don't have to be so straightforward, I know everything. It's precisely because I like you that I specially invited you here today. Okay, okay, Raku. Sakakihara patted her back, feeling the warmth of her in his arms, comforting her, and wasn't July very happy before? The July before was completely different from the July now. It's different, which is kind of weird. Tian Haikaimingu replied on his chest, people always have serious and non-serious sides, and now it is my serious side. When we were in the house just now, did that mean we weren't serious? That's right. I said to you in July, you think the first time is so important, why don't you take it seriously? Because I have to consider my sister. It's hard to be serious when my sister is around. Well, this is actually his own fault. Liulai had half of his wishes when he stayed. Although there is no formal and Liulai, it is almost the same. Here it is, now. The white yukata suddenly fell next to the girl's slender feet. Sakakibara Raku was stunned when he saw Nanami's eyes looking over him, and when he saw that body with hanging hair and a body that was whiter and more beautiful than the moonlight. He looked around, and saw only sunflowers that were taller than a person. The lawn was cooled by the night breeze. Wait, now. Here. Now we have to. By the way, are you okay in July? I'm okay. If my sister is here, it will affect my thoughts, so here, one-on-one, take it seriously. Sakakibara slapped his forehead and said quickly, I have no objection to you coming again between now and July, but wouldn't the place be too good? By this time it was already dark, and the moon was appearing and disappearing. On the side of the sea of sunflowers is a lake with a wooden bridge in the middle, and behind it is a lawn on a high ground. Don't like outside? That's not true. Then hurry up. Tian Haikaimingu placed her hands on the wooden guardrail beside the flower field, and her silky flaxen hair flowed down as she bent down. Sakakibara looked at her back line lit up by the moonlight, and saw her clear eyes when she turned her head. The wind blowing across the lake took away some of the hot breath. Asterisk. The wooden fence in the flower field, the wooden bridge in the lake, the trees beside the road, the lawn with leaves turned white by the wind. These images lingered in the mind of Sakakihara Raku, who was breathing heavily. Now he just wants to lie down on the lawn and look at the moon half covered by clouds. His mind was empty again. The moonlight illuminated the endless lawn, and the girl's swaying figure reflected the flower fields and the sparkling lake. Her eyes were gentle like water, but hazy like the moon. The moment she closed her eyes, Sakakihara could only feel that her tight pink and white toes, stained with a bit of earthy fragrance, were also extremely beautiful and sublime. Go back to sleep, Sakakibara panted while lying on the lawn. This time, it's not bad. Tian Haikaiminyu nestled in his arms, and with her soft hands, she lifted up the long hair beside her ears, exuding a sweet fragrance. Nanamijayu didn't smile, but Sakakibara laughed when he saw her beautiful face directly above him, blocking his sight and blocking the moon. He reached out and slapped his butt twice. I wonder who was screaming so loudly just now. It was great just now, but now I just want to say not bad. I just want to be tough, right? Sakakihara couldn't help but smile, and yawned loudly, but I just want to sleep now. You still missed me one more time. Upon hearing this, Sakakibara clasped his hands together and quickly begged the girl, who sat upright again, Auntie, please let me go back to sleep. In one night, everyone will be dead. Tian Haikaimingyu's beautiful face smiled slightly, but there is still one more time left. Ken. We haven't been to the lake beside the road yet. There is a small wooden platform for fishing there, which can face the entire lake. What's wrong? Tian Haikaiminyu smiled. How was it on the road? This is it. July. Also,